across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
There you are. Good evening and welcome to the Political Asylum right here on Talk. I'm Kevin O'Sullivan and I'll be with you all the way to 10 o'clock. Stand by for 3 hours of news, views and topical debate. Get involved, get it off your chest and get on the phone. Call me on 03444991000 or you can WhatsApp voice note me on the same number and I promise to play your message out. That's 03444991000. It's Thursday, May the 15th. Here's what's coming up. We start with a fascinating look at the changing face of Britain's legal profession at the Barristers Training Centre, where former Prime Ministers Tony Blair, Margaret Thatcher, Gladstone, Asquith, all the way back to William Pitt the Younger, learned their law trade. The astonishing new list of qualified barristers are 80% from ethnic backgrounds. Is this a tribute to the UK's multicultural society, or something we should be a little bit concerned about? That's 80%. Now, that's not a reflection doesn't reflect the mix of the cultural mix of Britain generally, does it? So we'll talk to Isabel Oakeshott about that in just a little while. It is interesting. It's very interesting. Also, tonight, Labour's empty rape gang promises. Justice Secretary Shabana Mahmood pledges that for those who turned a blind eye to the worst sex abuse scandal in British history, a moment of reckoning is coming. After the government refused the public inquiry the nation demands and deserves, and Jess Phillips cancelled the proposed local inquiries, how exactly is this moment of reckoning coming? Answers on a postcard, please. 03444991000. This lot and their empty words. Aren't you getting a bit sick of it? Plus, two-tier Keir's humiliation in Albania as his proposal for the country to host migrant return hubs for Britain is turned down flat. Now the shape-shifting Prime Minister wants to send our uninvited foreigners to another country. Isn't that what the Rwanda scheme was all about? What is he playing at now? 03444991000. Plus, jailed for a tweet mum, Lucy Connolly's emotional appeal. She's been in the appeal court today. Obviously, this is the poor lady who got 31 months behind bars for posting some hurty words amid the Southport riots, amid the summer riots after those awful killings in the dance hall. She went a bit over the top, but, you know, she took the tweet down, she apologised. She's never done anything wrong before, not so much as a speeding ticket. Should she be in jail? Should anyone go to prison for posting hurty words on social media? I know what I think. What do you think? 03444991000. Also, we'll take a look at David Lammy, this extraordinary 360-mile taxi he took from Italy to France to the French Alps. Cost 600 quid. There's a big row about who paid for it. I mean, you know, the taxi driver demanded money. He wouldn't give it to him. He drove off with David Lammy's diplomatic passports in the boot and so on and so forth. But I want to know, did the Foreign Office pay for this massive cab fare? Did we, taxpayers, pay for it? If so, shouldn't we demand that our Foreign Secretary finds cheaper ways of travelling 360 miles? I mean, a taxi, 6 hours with his wife, apparently. Also, he left it in a bit of a mess. We'll show you pictures of the post-Lammy taxi cab. You'll want to see that. So, also tonight, of course, it's Call Dr. Renee. She comes on in about an hour, answering all your medical questions. You know the gig. So, call Dr. Renee on 03444991000. She is here to help. All that and so much more. So don't go anywhere. Stick with me right here, right now on Talk, the home of free speech and common sense. Let's spend Thursday night together. And as I just alluded to, we are joined now for the next hour by the excellent international editor for Talk here, Isabel Oakeshott. Welcome, Isabel.
Good evening. Lots of news to cover, isn't there? I can't believe this Albania thing. What a complete shambles.
Yeah, I mean, we're jumping ahead, but while I've got you on the topic, he's now talking about we've got to find other country return hubs, other countries, return hubs for our migrants, the British migrants. Wasn't that the Rwanda scheme?
I think that's exactly what the Rwanda scheme was. But what is so embarrassing is having kind of tried to drum up this scheme in Albania and then been snubbed.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm sure we'll come to that. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah, we will come to that. But one last observation about it. Have you seen Keir Starmer with Albania's leader, who is a massive guy? He's about sort of 42 feet high. So they're walking down this red carpet. And it's like little and large, you know, little man, big man. It's really quite a contrast. But as you said, Isabel, the Albanian leader took one look at Keir's public plan. I'm going to return hub in your country, Mr. Albanian leader. No way, sunshine, no way. It's so embarrassing. We'll talk about that in a little while. But you brought in a fascinating story, and this is all it is. It is fascinating. Now, we're going to talk about barristers, our newly qualified barristers. The system to become a barrister is kind of complicated. You obviously go to university, law school, that kind of stuff. You pass your legal exams. At that point, a lot of people choose to be solicitors. You can train to be a solicitor. But if you want to be a barrister, you have to go into what they call Inns of Court. It's all very antiquated, the terms, but basically these are training centres where law graduates learn how to become fully fledged barristers. They're called to the bar. There are 4 of them. Now 3 of them, their list of newly qualified barristers does kind of reflect the ethnic breakdown of this country, which is basically 80% white and around about, it's actually about 19% ethnic. That's the ethnic mix of this country. But in Lincoln's Inn, arguably, I think most legal people would agree, the most prestigious of all, where Margaret Thatcher, Tony Blair, Asquith, Gladstone, all the way back to Pitt the Younger in the 18th century, all learned their legal trade. That's where they learned how to become barristers. So it's a very, very prestigious place, right in the middle of London. Amazing place, right by the Thames. Now, the new list of barristers, newly qualified, is extraordinary. It turns the cultural mix of this country on its head. They are 80% from ethnic backgrounds to only 20% what you might call traditional British backgrounds. Now, we just offer that up there as an interesting spectacle, but I mean, that's quite something. I mean, we're just putting the lists here. I'll read through some of them in a minute, but before we get to reading, or me trying to read some of these names, your thoughts, Isabel?
Well, when I first saw this list of newly qualified barristers, those that have been so-called called to the bar, I actually thought it was a hoax. I mean, I genuinely did not believe that this could possibly be, you know, the latest class of newly qualified barristers. Because as you say, you know, if you scan down the list, it is quite hard to see very many English-sounding names. And I think that's fascinating. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just really interesting. Is this the future face of our legal profession? It's worth pointing out that at the moment, the legal profession broadly mirrors, as you say, the proportion of ethnic minorities that there are in this country, and that's a good thing. And many who are very keen on the DEI agenda would point out rightly that the top of the profession, the most prestigious jobs and the best paid at the moment, are heavily white dominated. I mean, frankly, no surprise there, because the UK as a whole is still heavily white dominated, although that's changing in many pockets of the country.
Yep.
But I just find it fascinating that the vast majority of newly qualified barristers at Lincoln's Inn are of ethnic minority backgrounds. Now, some may have come to the UK for training and they may go and work overseas, so they may not be part of our future legal profession and the makeup of that. But I suspect the majority on that list will stay in England. And I think the question raises a question of how does this change the priorities, the affiliations, the values, and the emphasis that will be placed in future legal positions. I think it's really, really interesting. It's not a criticism, it's just a reflection of the way the UK is changing.
Right, here comes the difficult bit. As I say, I've got the, these are the lists of some of the hundreds of new barristers that have just been called to the bar, as they call it. So I'm going to, by way of illustration, I'm going to read these out. So here goes. This will,
good luck with this,
which will reveal what a really lousy,
this is you, not me.
Yeah, what a really lousy presenter I am. Here we go. Sahajan Khan, Mud Mahaba Rahman, Shams Wasif. This is literally just reading the list as it comes. Fakar Azam, Hina Ataf Bajwa, Mud Hamada Hassan, Muhammad Mahad Hassan, Ayasam Khalid Iqbal, Zajis Islam Pavel, Mahmoud Ul Hassan. I'm reading these until we get to the first British name, okay? Mahmoud Ul Hassan, Zadid Al Nihan, Azif Abrea Sharia, Mud Maruf Hassan, Anona Tasman Orti, Afghan Dua Zeb Khan, Muhammad Walid bin Amir, Mia Uwais Reza Talpur, Asif Salahuddin, Khalid bin Ahmed, Al-Habin Hussein, Muhammad Alam, Muhammad Zahim Zafar, Jahom Gashru, Zahal Rajad Avan, Fahan Rahman, Karan Shankla, Muhammad Sarim Shahid. Ready? Gregory Michael Horn. There you go. We finally got there. And then we go back to Chai Ming Wei, New Riyadh, and so on and so forth. Again, we're not making any comment here. We're not saying this is bad or good or whatever, but it's just fascinating that I've got lists and lists in here, and, I can literally, Gregory Michael Horn is the only British name I can see. So something is going on here. As I say, the other three Inns of Court where barristers train, if you look at their lists, they're more reflective of the general cultural mix in this country, which is 80% white, 20% or so ethnic. In Lincoln's Inn, it's the opposite. It's the other way round. Not at all reflective of the British cultural mix. And we should stress, and Lincoln's Inn, we've talked to Lincoln's Inn about this, they make the very good point. It's look, don't blame us, or it's nothing to do with us. These students choose where they want to study to go up to the bar. So it's not Lincoln's Inn saying, oh, we only want ethnic people. These are the ones who choose to go there. But, 80% ethnic coming out of our most prestigious Inns of Court. These are the future, obviously, barristers, king's counsels and judges. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, bravo for reading out just a fraction of that list.
I did a lot better than I thought, actually.
You did really well. I mean, I don't think anyone could really say there's nothing to see here, let's move on. It doesn't matter what your opinion of it is something significant going on, isn't it? You said about the other Inns of Court, I believe that the proportion there is more 60-40 in favour of white British to ethnic minority. So that is still disproportionate in terms of the makeup of the UK population, but it's not anywhere near as extreme. And I'm talking in broad terms. I don't have the precise statistics from those Inns of Court in front of me. But I think that I wonder also whether this is reflective of young white British people not actually wanting to become barristers.
Yes.
Because There have been a lot of challenges in relation to the way young barristers are paid. It is notoriously difficult to make a really good living. One thinks of that as being an incredible job, creme de la creme. I'm a barrister. Wow, you must be charging 600 quid an hour. That isn't the case. A lot of barristers at the lower end of the scale really do struggle.
They do. You're right. It is not necessarily a passport to riches. Yeah, absolutely.
Nonetheless, something big is going on there, isn't it?
It is. That's a really good point. And by the way, when I read out that list of names, individual names, I'm perfectly entitled to do so. When people are called to the bar, the list is public. It is for the people of this country to know who has been called to the bar. So I'm not infringing on any privacy, but I just thought I ought to point that out. But yeah, you make a good point, Isabel. What we could perhaps read into this is why aren't more white people going, wanting to become barristers? Maybe that number is declining. Why would you think that would be?
Well, as I say, because of the notorious difficulties within the legal profession, they're all complaining about it at that level, how hard it is. And, well, up to a point, I'm not that sorry for them. Most of us, when we start out in our careers, are not paid very much. You end up basically just doing it for next to nothing as part of your training to get better at things. But that could be why it is. I just think that it has real implications 10 years from now about how our legal profession will look. And some will say that's a good thing. Some will say it's been far too white and pale and male and stale. Yeah. And look at the overall statistics for the legal profession. They've made huge strides. There's a lot more women now than there used to be, which is a great thing. Still, we don't have enough female judges. There's more progress to be made. But I do worry that in 10, 15 years' time, will there be enough white British judges? Or maybe some will say, doesn't matter if there aren't.
And if the other Inns of Court start to reflect the same kind of mix, the same disproportionate number of ethnic students, ethnic wannabe lawyers, as the Lincoln's Inn gang, then I think, that would be something significant. And I do think that might be a source of concern. In the ideal world, of course, our barristers, the cultural mix of our barristers would be an exact reflection of the cultural mix of this country. And it does strike me that there's something jarring about Lincoln's Inn when that cultural mix is turned on its head. The nation's cultural mix is 80% white, but basically, I'm rounding up and rounding down, but basically 80% white, 20% ethnic. And at Lincoln's Inn, the barristers or the wannabe barristers are 80% ethnic and 20% white. That's kind of weird.
I just challenge anyone to look at these lists, and they're published, I think, basically every term, every academic term, and they're all the same from Lincoln's Inn from the last couple of years. You cannot look down that list and not think that there is something a little skewed going on here. And Lincoln's Inn, has made good efforts on diversity, equality and inclusion. But I must say that I'm not sure that much more energy needs to be put into that, judging from how successful they've already been.
Exactly. Didn't they ban Christian services in the name of inclusivity or something?
They did. They set aside the age-old, and these inns go back hundreds and hundreds of years. They set aside the tradition of saying a Christian grace, saying that it was, insufficiently inclusive, and now they kind of give broad thanks for what we're about to receive. I mean, again, some people say, well, we've got to move with the times. Others will say, what a shame to see tradition eroded. Worth reminding everybody, we are still a Christian country.
We are indeed, and we should also point out that although Lincoln's Inn is pretty famous for its devotion to DEI, they don't get to choose which students apply to go there, which want to be barristers. So we can't say that Lincoln's Inn are saying, right, we only want ethnics. That isn't to do with their devotion to diversity. They are not responsible for this. But it is a very fascinating syndrome that you found there, Isabel. Listen, let's go to break, and when we come back, I want to talk about the rape gang scandal and something pretty shocking that I have read in the publication, the new issue of The Spectator. It's about Shabana Mahmood, the Justice Secretary. We'll talk about that after these messages.
We lost a huge amount of public trust and confidence, and I'm the first person to acknowledge that, but we've got to win that back by being honest about the mistakes we made.
If you have to do a deal with a Nigel Farage reform to do that, to oust a Labour, would you do it?
I want to put reform out of business. I want to send Nigel back to
But if you can't put reform out of business, which doesn't look likely right now, given they're ahead of you by quite a long way in the polls, would you do a deal?
No, look, Kemi's been very clear. No pacts, no coalitions.
Are you very clear?
Yeah, I've said for a very long time that my objective is to bring back, over time, the millions of voters that we lost at the last election.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Now, I'm still with Talk's international editor, Isabel Oakeshott. Isabel, I was flicking through, as you do, the new edition of The Spectator today, and there's an interview by the editor, that so-called Tory Michael Gove. He's about as Tory as Keir Starmer, as far as I can work out. Anyway, he has interviewed the Justice Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, who talks about how important her Muslim faith is to her in her work. You know, it's what inspires her, what keeps her morally grounded, etc., etc. But which is fine, sure, good. She goes on to say, he asks her about the rape gang scandal, And she talks about all of those who turned a blind eye. We know what we're talking about. The reason for the rape gang scandal is that the police, social workers, teachers, local politicians, MPs, local authorities were all too terrified to report what they could plainly see, that men of Pakistani origin, Muslim men of Pakistani origin were systematically raping and sexually abusing vulnerable young white girls, many of them underage, as many as 250,000 we now know. Now, Shabana Mahmood, in this interview in The Spectator with Michael Gove, says, she says, a moment of reckoning is coming for these people who turned their blind eye. A moment of reckoning is coming. This from a woman who represents the government, who denied the public what they deserve and demand, and that is a national public inquiry into the worst sex abuse scandal in the history of this country. And Jess Phillips went on to axe the proposed local inquiries. So there's no national inquiry and no local inquiries. So in what way does Shabana Mahmood propose a moment of reckoning is coming for those who turned a blind eye? No moments of reckoning are coming, because this government outrageously, shamefully is trying to sweep this under the carpet because it's embarrassed.
Well, I haven't read the full interview, but if the interviewer, Michael Gove, failed to push further on what exactly that moment of reckoning is, then that was, if I could put it diplomatically, a big lost opportunity. What is the moment of reckoning? Where is it? When is it? How is it going to be? I'll tell you the moment of reckoning that's coming. Unfortunately, it can't come for a long while. The moment of reckoning will be when the British people and voters deliver their verdict on the likes of Shabana Mahmood and her colleagues, who have let down so many young girls, young women who are still living with the scars of this absolute outrageous scandal, and all the young girls that are still going through this. This isn't over by any means, and it's not good enough for this government and its representatives simply to talk in vague terms, trying to sound tough about a moment of reckoning with no foundation whatsoever as to what that is supposed to mean.
This on the same day that the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, two-tier Keir, paid tribute to a brilliant reporter, Andrew Norfolk, a Times reporter who died too young, just aged 60, collapsed suddenly and died. This was the amazing journalist who first exposed the horror of the rape gang scandal back in 2011. Now, Keir Starmer said, what an amazing journalist and an amazing man. I had the privilege to meet him when I was Director of Public Prosecution. Well, this is what this government is doing, and this is what Keir Starmer has done. It has undermined the astonishing work of Andrew Norfolk. You know, how dare he pay tribute to a fantastic investigative reporter who brought to light this terrible scandal, and now this terrible scandal is being quashed out, it's being trampled on, it's being swept under the carpet by Keir Starmer and his government, because they're embarrassed, because where all this raping happened was in Labour-run administrations, and he was a Director of Public Prosecutions from 2008 to 2013, at the height of the rape gang or horror, of the saga of this horror. And how many people got convicted? How many rape gang members got convicted, prosecuted, arrested while he was Director of Public Prosecution? Oh, take a wild guess. It's zero. Zero. He's embarrassed, this Labour government is embarrassed, and they're trying to sweep this under the carpet, and that is a disgrace and frankly an affront, an offence to the brilliant Andrew Norfolk's memory.
This government just wants this story to go away. I mean, absolutely no doubt about that. And I suspect they're pretty resentful that it's come up again on their watch, because you know, they will be thinking, well, all of this took place during the coalition years, during the Tory years, why on earth should we now be getting a kicking for it? And the reason is, in case anyone needs to be reminded, that so many of these horrors happened in Labour-controlled areas, you know, and the authorities that were involved at a local level were Labour councillors and Labour workers in Labour-controlled council services. And that is why this is so toxic for this government. And as you say, because of Keir Starmer's personal role and personal failings in not actually bringing this to book. And, you know, when you say those numbers, 250,000, it seems scarcely believable, doesn't it, that it could be such a scale?
There was a piece, absolutely, it's phenomenal, it's staggering. And by the way, a very powerful piece in the Sunday Times, I think it was this week, saying, you know, make no mistake, this is still going on. The rape gangs are still at work. It is still happening all over the country. Something should be done. And this situation, obviously these people should be snuffed out. Fair few people have gone to jail, in fairness, but not enough. Many got away with it, and many are still doing it. These rapes are still happening. These systematic rapes are still happening, and it certainly doesn't help that we have a government that wants to pretend this isn't really a thing. Oh, let's forget about it. You know, we got a window into this awful government's attitude towards the rape gang scandal a couple of weeks ago on the BBC's radio show Any Questions, when Lucy Powell, cabinet member, leader of the House, confronted with the issue of rape gangs by our friend Tim Montgomery, turned round and acted like it's a bit of a political football. Oh, we're going to blow that trumpet, are we? Oh, get the dog whistle out, as if it's just a debating topic. That was a window into the psyche of this government when it comes to the rape gang scandal, and frankly, she's a disgrace, and this government is a disgrace in the way they're approaching what should be a source for massive concern.
Well, they will pay a high price for those comments. I mean, she suffered huge reputational damage. I don't think Lucy Powell is a bad person, but it was an extremely misjudged, ill-judged comment to make, and as you say, you know, basically casts a very harsh spotlight on what they are likely to be saying behind the scenes, which is oh, everyone's weaponizing this, poor us. And actually the focus should be on poor young women whose lives in many cases will never ever recover from what they suffered. I mean, the detail of what some of these systematic abuses involve is truly appalling to read. It's really, really hard to read, and that is partly why I think it's taken so long for this to get the kind of national traction it deserves. Many people just sort of didn't want to know because it was just too awful.
Yeah, and remember this, folks. I'm sure you all can appreciate this, but all these poor young white girls, these poor little girls, they had their lives ruined. I interviewed one a couple of weeks ago called Elizabeth. She was silhouetted out, and I asked her towards the end, I said, so have you managed to sort of pick up the pieces of your life? Have you got a boyfriend, husband, or anything like that, kids? She goes, oh, I can't ever think of anything like that. So what this poor girl, she's still only in her mid-20s. She's been deprived of her romantic life, her chance of marrying or having children, all of that. Most of these girls have been deprived of that. They've had their lives stolen, and that's why this is an ongoing massive issue. Now, let me know what you think about this, that the Justice Secretary thinks a moment of reckoning is coming for all of those who turned their back. Well, so far, not a single social worker, not a single copper, not a single local politician, not a single teacher who turned their backs and ignored what these young girls were saying has been punished, has been prosecuted. So where is this moment of reckoning? When is it coming? Let me know. 0344 499 1000. When we come back, Isabel, we'll talk about the migrant crisis and Keir Starmer's day trip to Albania didn't go like he wanted it to. That next. Stay tuned.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. I'm still with Talk's international editor, Isabel Oakeshott. Isabel, this is kind of going to be a bit complicated, but I think you'll get the point as we go on. We're going to start with Keir Starmer's day trip to Albania today, which didn't work out like he planned. And then we're going to have a look at the cold, hard reality of the ongoing migrant crisis. It's some footage we played last night. I don't think you've seen it yet. You'll be stunned. But first of all, here he is, our Prime Minister, talking about, I can barely believe what I'm reading here, the reduction in the number of small boats coming across the channel. Listen.
Progress together on reducing small boat numbers has been significant. You just went through the numbers again. That is over a period, a relatively short period, quite an incredible reduction. And I think it's a signal and an example of what can be done when two countries work together in this way.
I mean, we've worked together. The small boat reduction's that's just a lie. They're 40% up. They're 40% up on last year. What on earth is he saying? Anyway, here he is again on this same trip, determined to retake our borders. Have a listen.
It is totally unacceptable that anybody is getting on a small boat and crossing the channel to the United Kingdom. The last government lost control of the borders. I'm determined that we'll retake control of the borders. That means that we've got to have a concerted effort to smash the gangs that are running this vile trade. We've carried out in the last few months many high-profile arrests across different parts of the world, working with partners like Iraq that haven't been possible in the past, seized a lot of assets, had returns agreement, maximum number of returns. But what we've done in our joint work with Albania is shown that by working with other countries, this morning you saw law enforcement from Albania alongside law enforcement in the UK, we've driven down those numbers. I want to see more of that because I'm absolutely determined that we're going to clear up the mess that we've been left and make sure that we get the control that we need of our borders.
Well, Isabel, that's just not true. He's saying that it's amazing, we work with Albania, the number of boats that's remarkably reduced. They're 40% up. What on earth is he talking about?
He twice said smash the gangs.
Smash the gangs!
Can't believe this is a guy that can't even smash an avocado. I mean, can't smash criminal gangs. So stop saying it, please. It's just not true. You've not been able to do any of it. On Albania, the number of Albanians that have come across may have reduced. I know quite a lot about this because I was one of the first to expose the number of Albanians coming over a couple of years ago in some leaked documents I got hold of. And at that point, a whole load of attention went on to why so many Albanians are coming over using this route, and it's all to do with organised crime. But it's just not true that any of Keir Starmer's efforts have been any good. And can I just issue an appeal to any politicians that are listening, whatever level you're at, local government, whatever, please don't say you're determined to do things. The entire population that hears it groans when they hear you say that, because they generally know it means you are doing nothing and unlikely to achieve anything. It just is so cringy listening to that, isn't it?
Yeah, and I can't, I've got to go back to this. He said working together, we've drastically or remarkably reduced the number of boats coming across the channel. But there's been about 100 boats in the last 3 days. They are 40% up. I mean, is that where he's come, the point he's come to? You know, he can't do anything. Everything's a disaster. So just lie and pretend that he's doing well. What's he going to say next? The economy has never been greater. You know, our prisons are in a great state. You know, I mean, this is ridiculous.
Oh, he will be saying both of those things because the economy went up, and according to the latest figures,
drum roll, Drum roll.
Da, 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 da.
0.7%, yeah.
So yay to that. And also, haven't you heard, we're building 3 more prisons, maybe to accommodate more people that say hurty words on social media.
Yeah, so that'll be our prison system sorted out as soon as they finish those new prisons in 10 years' time. Terrific. Yeah. Right, Lau, have a look at this. This is I paid tribute to ITV. Good reporting this 2 days ago. This is Tuesday morning on Dunkirk Beach. Bearing in mind, we've just listened to our Prime Minister telling us what remarkable work he's done in reducing the number of boats. I still cannot get my head round the fact that he actually said that, but he did. Right, well, we'll just play these and you can make of them what you will. This is Dunkirk Beach on Tuesday morning. The reporter, good job he's done, is called Peter Smith. Here's the first picture.
But this is not a getaway across the channel. It's here brazenly to pick up even more passengers. Do you have a life jacket for the children?
No.
No life jacket?
No life jacket.
Families wait as though this were a bus stop. Except here, the cries of frightened children pierce the dark. They are about to risk their young lives, and those much older are also scared, standing silently in this cold water.
Right, so what was happening there, Isabel, we're going to play you a couple more clips in just a second, was that a very overcrowded dinghy was going out to sea, was on its way to Britain, and then they got called back to squeeze some more people on. We've got one guy saying he tried to cross 14 times, so 6 people got rejected. Anyway, let's look at the second clip we've got here.
You tried to cross 14 times?
Going back, go back, go back.
14 times you tried to cross?
Yeah.
In 2 months, wow. And today you think you're going to make it?
I hope.
There's no boat for this group, but that's fixed by one phone call. The dinghy we saw on its way to the UK turns back to France to cram even more on. Did you hear that someone died here yesterday on the water?
No.
You didn't know about that? Are you scared?
No, I'm not. I'm not.
This is all so casual. There's no running now, no reason to rush.
And this is the one that I think will astonish you. Well, they're all pretty astonishing, but this, the 6 guys, that dinghy that came back 3 times, they make a phone call, hey, can we get some more on? Came back 3 times to pick up more people. It was so crowded that 6 guys said, we can't get on. So they turned round and headed back to the beach and have a look what happened.
6 men who were on board jumped off just as the boat left for England. They walked straight towards police, who let them past, so we walked with them. Why did you get off the boat?
Full.
Will you try again?
Yeah, try again.
You're going to try again?
Yeah.
The UK government has promised to smash the gangs and end.
Well, there you are. So what happened? They walk out and there's a police jeep in the middle of Dunkirk Beach. There's about 6 coppers standing there smoking gulwar. And as these migrants come back from not managing to get onto that dinghy, the cops basically go, all right, there. and the migrants go hi, and then they just wander back. And of course, tomorrow they'll come and do it again. All this is going on, right? This is just one scene from 2 days ago. And our Prime Minister is saying that he's making remarkable progress reducing the number of boats. This is 2-tierism gone mad, isn't it?
I mean, the Prime Minister is in fantasy land, and as for the French, they're just mocking us, aren't they? You know, the French are taking vast sums of British taxpayers' money to do the square root of diddly squat. I mean, the French quite routinely, as it was reported also this week on another television channel, see vessels being readied for departure, empty inflatable boats that are being prepared for this crossing, and they just drive past these boats. I don't know why they don't just puncture them, make them unseaworthy, obviously unseaworthy, so obviously that no one could get in them and obviously lose their lives, because no one would want that. But the French police just turning a blind eye to this, because of course it suits the French government to wave them over towards us. And this is a complete scandal. We've got to get tough with the French. You know, I think that a robust attitude to the French might start using some bargaining chips, for example, our fishing waters and various other privileges and so on. We need to negotiate, we need to play hardball and stop just giving the French money for nothing whatsoever.
Exactly. We're £500 million we've given the French to patrol their beaches properly, to stop the boats, to stop the migrants. They're not stopping anything. They're not stopping the boats. They're not stopping the migrants. They have a system. Once the migrants get ankle deep in the sea, they never touch them. So the migrants just sort of give them a wide berth, get to the literally paddling depth in the ocean, in the English Channel, and at that point the French police's policy is leave them alone. It's ridiculous. They're doing nothing. They just took our money and now they're laughing at us. How about that? Isn't that wonderful? Right, we're going to go to break now, Isabel. When we come back, we're going to talk about Lucy Connolly. She is the poor lady who's doing 31 months in jail for posting hurty words on Twitter during the Southport riots. She should be released. She's appealing. She's been in the appeal court today, apparently sobbing. We'll talk about that after this break.
We lost a huge amount of public trust and confidence, and I'm the first person to acknowledge that, but we've got to win that back by being honest about the mistakes we made. If you have to do a deal with a Nigel Farage reform to do that, to oust Labour, would you do it? I want to put reform out of business. I want to send Nigel back to retirement. If you can't put reform out of business, which doesn't look likely right now, given they're ahead of you by quite a long way in the polls, would you do a deal? No, look, Kemi's been very clear. No pacts, no coalitions. Are you very clear? Yeah, I've said for a very long time that my objective is to bring back, over time, the millions of voters that we lost at the last election.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Isabel, we're going to have to go fast. So I'm still with Isabel at Oakshott Talks international editor, of course. We're going to have to go fast here because, first of all, before we get to poor Lucy Connolly appealing against her grotesque 31-month sentence for posting nasty words on Twitter, outrageous, here's a picture of David Lammy's taxi. Now, there's a whole sort of a firestorm surrounding. Look at it. So this is the taxi he spent 6 hours in, a 360-mile journey from near Bologna in Italy to the French Alps. So he went. It was a 600 quid. Fare. There was a big row afterwards because it was supposed to be prepaid apparently, and the taxi driver said it wasn't. He sped off with David Lammy, the Foreign Secretary's diplomatic passport in the boot, and his wife's passport as well. He was with his wife, of course. Now, so that disgusting mess the taxi was left in. Well, what I want to know is who in the end was paying for this taxi fare. Now, okay, fair enough. Lammy had been in Italy for the King's state visit, so business, and he's entitled to a few days off if he wants them, and if he's going to the Swiss Alps, fine. I'll even sort of go along with the idea that the Foreign Office can pay for his expenses to get there. But you know, in terms of the fact, if we are paying for this, surely it would be incumbent on the Foreign Secretary to find a cheaper way of making a 360-mile journey than climbing into a damn cab.
Well, I'm going to surprise you here.
I saw what you tweeted.
I'm going to stand up for that. First of all, it's a nightmare getting to these. He was going to a ski resort, wasn't he? I mean, it is. I can tell you from experience, it's virtually impossible to do that by public transport at anything other than about 2 fixed times of the day on 2 days of the week. So
right.
I had to take a taxi. I do speak from experience on this one. And secondly, it sounds very much as if the driver was out to fleece him, because the fare had been paid, and the driver himself, if he's been quoted accurately by, I think it's our own Sun newspaper that broke the story, said, well, when I found out who he was, I slapped an extra €700 onto the bill because my life might have been in danger. I mean, to me, this sounds like a very grasping, greedy, opportunistic driver. However, there is zero excuse for any public figure, indeed anyone decent, leaving a taxi in that state. That is disgraceful, it's disgusting, and the Foreign Secretary should know better.
And shouldn't the Foreign Secretary have some kind of security? What's he doing shoving his diplomatic passport in the boot? I mean, yeah, it's not exactly his finest hour, is it?
You know, I think this is one of those things that we would say as journalists, there's quite a lot of holes in this story, aren't there?
I think there's still stuff to come out about it, but it's a very intriguing story. As I say, I don't think that we, the taxpayers, should be footing his taxi bill. By all means, I suppose we can underwrite this journey, but it doesn't have to be by taxi. It really doesn't. So anyway, well, let's drop that and move on to something far more important. We haven't got long now, but we need to talk about Lucy Connolly. She is the housewife, the mum, wife of a Tory councillor, who in the heat of the moment, in the height of the Southport riots, she was very, very upset because she lost her own child about a year ago, and she was sympathising with the poor mothers who lost their children in that brutal murder spree in the Southport Downs Hall by that animal Axel Rudagabana. So she was very heightened. She posted mass deportations now, kick them out, you know, da-da-da. If that makes me racist, you know, so be it, so on and so forth. Well, she pulled that down. She apologised. She said it was a mistake. She got 31 months. People who are actually involved in the riots, chucking bricks at coppers, were getting things like 2 years. She wasn't even there. She was hundreds of miles away. I think we've got to stop this. No one should ever go to jail for hurty words on social media. Otherwise, we have no right to call ourselves a free Western democracy. This is a stain on Britain. She's been in the appeal court today. She's been sobbing. Her husband isn't very well. For God's sake, let her out. She's already done the best part of 2 years.
It's appalling. Lucy Connolly's continued incarceration is a scandalous waste of a prison place. There is no need whatsoever for her to be behind bars. To the best of my knowledge, there is zero evidence that her silly comments on social media had any actual impact on anything. And our police and our prosecutors should concentrate on deeds, not words, things that actually happen, not things that might in some fantasy land potentially have some impact on something. She's not a terrible person, and it is a very, very poor use of a prison place.
And let's stress, Isabel, that before this fall from grace on her part, she had an absolutely unblemished life, not so much as a speeding ticket, nor as her husband. So this is the wrong person to put behind bars. And I would say, why on earth, out of the 385 people who went to jail, pretty damn sharpish, at indecent haste because of two-tier Keir's two-tier justice system. Get them inside, they're far-right thugs. They weren't, by the way. A police report has just concluded they weren't far-right thugs. Of the 385, 12 were for their keyboard warriors, things that were tweeted or Facebook posted, Instagram posted miles away. These people shouldn't go to jail. In America, they're looking across the Atlantic, and I saw Joe Rogan the other day. He goes, God damn, in Britain, or England as they always say, they're sending people to jail for tweets. I mean, and when you think about it, it's astonishing. What the hell does Starmer think he's playing at?
This is a purely political incarceration. She is a political prisoner. It's absolutely simple as that. She is a political prisoner. And here's the other thing. Nobody had ever heard of Lucy Connolly. She had no profile, no public position, no following, no influence. So why on earth does it matter, really, that she said some stupid, ill-judged and frankly pretty nasty things on Twitter?
I mean,
that was all faded into the ether. It had zero impact.
And I've got to make one last point. What is she doing in jail for 31 months, getting longer than rapists get, when Hugh Edwards, the BBC's in-house paedophile, didn't get a moment in jail? Why did he walk free and Lucy Connolly got 31 months? It's a disgrace. Great to talk to you, though, Isabel, as always. Thank you so much, Isabel Oakeshott there. It's Call Dr. Renee next, so you better stay tuned.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. That first hour was so busy, so hectic. I didn't have enough time to call Dr. Renee. But so here we are. GP extraordinaire Dr. Renee Hunderkamp is in the studio. Welcome, Renee.
Hello.
And you know what the score is. It's Call Dr. Renee with all your medical questions. You know the score. If you've got health issues, you've got problems with the NHS, you can't get to see your GP, who the hell can? You're unhappy with your treatment, or you just don't feel very well. Doesn't have to be you. It can be a loved one, your spouse, your friend. It can be a friend. Call Dr. Renee on 0344 499 1000. She's here to help. Right, while you all hit the phones, we will discuss. We like to start with a medical story to get Renee's view on it, and we've got one here that I think, well, I know she'll be very angry about. I'm angry about it. This is a disgrace. Trans toddlers will still be allowed gender treatment on the NHS. Under 7-year-old kids will be seen by clinics after the health service caved in to activists who objected to age limits. So now the NHS is going to listen to kids who are, say, I don't know, 6 years old, 5 years old. I'm born in the wrong body. I'm transgender. You know, I mean, this is just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I mean, we've spent 10 years or so mutilating children at the Tavistock Clinic for dysphoric kids. Some kids, you know, I'll accept, you know, they do feel dysphoric about their gender. Most of them, but if they're 6 years old, 4 years old, this is ridiculous. Well, I'm furious about it. What about you, Renee?
I wish I could say that I was surprised, but I'm not, because it was very evident to anybody who works within the NHS that the NHS is so captured by these people, Kevin, that when they closed the Tavistock and said that they would open regional clinics, that it would almost be like cutting the head off the Hydra and just growing some new heads. And that's exactly what is happening here, because sensible doctors who know that there is no such thing as a child being born in the wrong body, a trans kid is a made-up word, they wouldn't work in one of those clinics if their life depended on it, because they wouldn't be associated with that kind of medical travesty. So the only doctors that are working in these clinics are those die-hard ideologues who are completely committed to the cause of transing kids. You know, it's infuriating, and we know that at the top of the adult service, which is still under review, the head of that is so on side with the trans ideologues that the same thing is going to happen there. So as soon as they go from 18 into the adult service, they're also going to face the same kind of stuff.
Listen to this, though, right? I mean, you know, to hell with the NHS, to hell with all these woke idiots, these woke warriors who are turning the NHS into a national scandal, a joke, a woke-infested joke, a medically moronic joke. I mean, you know, this is ridiculous. This is not medical. So the previous age, the health service was going to introduce a minimum age for children to be seen by its specialist gender clinics. This is kids who go, I'm in the wrong body, you know, I should be a boy, I'm not a girl. So the minimum age that they were going to introduce for this was 7. Wow. So if you're 8, they were going to see 8-year-olds and all that, and 9-year-olds. I would say that's bizarre. That's ridiculous. Don't listen to a 7-year-old who says he or she's in the wrong body. Give them a bag of sweets and tell them to go and play on the swings or something. So this was 7. But because of activists, because of the trans lobby, the all-powerful trans lobby, you know, those 150,000 or so people in a population of 80 million or 79 million, ridiculous. So they've caved in. So there won't be a minimum age of 7 to listen to gender dysphoric kids. It will now be any age, so it could be 2 years old.
And you can see what's going to happen is that a mother, and we'll come back to the mother in a minute, brings her kid to a GP and says, oh, little Johnny's actually really a girl. The GP inside dies with fright and fear of actually saying to the mum, now listen, Don't be silly.
Yeah.
Little Johnny doesn't even know what he is unless you've told him that. So what they will do is they will instantly kick that ball over to one of these clinics, and hence the referrals will come. The facts are this, Kevin, that a child does not know what it is. It's our job to tell them what they are. You're a girl, darling. One day you'll get married, have babies. You know, you're a boy. You know, you can actually find a girlfriend, you can get a woman pregnant, but you can never have a baby.
Yeah.
That's our job. So if we've got kids going forward who are 2 and 3 and 4, the people who need the medical help here are the parents who are doing it, but also schools. Schools are so captured that these little kiddies are being told in nursery school that boys can be girls. You are whatever you feel you want to be. We have to get this out of our education system, our NHS, our police force, all of it.
Absolutely. Now, I mean, this is small numbers, but the fact that there are any numbers here at all is an absolute disgrace. There are 10 children of nursery age currently being treated, while as many as 157 aged 9 or younger have been referred to clinics. So what we're talking about there, these 10 kids are under the age of 7. They are being treated by the NHS for gender dysphoria because they think they've been born in the wrong body. We're talking about 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds. I mean, this NHS has gone clinically insane.
Yeah, but you know what's coming? And I listened to a podcast on the way here about this. In America, they're coming thick and fast. What's coming for the NHS are the lawsuits. So that when these kids are completely screwed up by the NHS, who give them harmful drugs, who might take away their fertility, who might chop off their breasts at some point, the lawsuits will come. We pay to destroy children, and then we're going to pay to fix them. And then we're going to pay to compensate them.
I was just laughing while you were quite rightly venting your fury, because I was just thinking, when I was a kid, if I'd have said to my dad when I was 7 years, Dad, I think I've been born in the wrong body, he'd have used one of those old-fashioned forms of punishment that are not fashionable. He'd have clipped me around there and said, get the hell out of here. And I'm not promoting that as a system, but I do think, you know, the NHS previously said that children under 7 years old were, quote, just too young to be considered to have gender dysphoria. You don't say. Really? So if they're under 7, you don't take their gender dysphoria worries that serious? Oh, wow. Well, that's a step forward. Well, now they do. They will listen to 4-year-olds.
This is different. This is no different to the 4-year-old who comes in and tells you that he's a dog. You go, oh, that's nice, dear. Here's your dinner. What you don't do is say, you're right. Get on all fours. Here's a lead. Let me take you for a walk. That's what you don't do. These parents need to be looked at.
And teachers, as you quite rightly say. I mean, there's all these... Who was it telling me? It was a friend. Somebody telling me the other day that their kid's in a class where one of the kids identifies as a cat, so the teacher puts a litter tray at the back of the class.
It's furries. They're called furries. This is a big thing in
Australia.
Australia.
But the kid's about, like, 10 or something. So but the teacher shouldn't be... Teachers should say, well, you're not a cat. You're not getting a litter tray. What? I mean, what about the other kids seeing this? I mean, these teachers, these doctors, these NHS adults, what's going on in their mind? They're insane.
Insane. Absolutely insane. And we've got the British Medical Association, resident doctors as they like to call themselves now, actually challenging, they're doing their own review into the CAS review.
Yeah. They seem to be, the NHS seems to be justifying this shift, you know, the fact that they've abandoned this drastic 7-year age limit. They're saying, oh, well, you know, the number could be fewer than 10.
Who cares?
So the point is that right now, it might be 9, might be 8, you know, it doesn't really matter. The fact that the NHS is treating kids who are under the age of 7. They could be 4, they could be 3, for gender dysphoria.
Do you know what?
Because they think they were born in the fact the NHS is treating those kids makes me say, to hell with you, you ridiculous National Health Service. To hell with you.
You know who's done this, though, in a big part as well, are the psychiatrists. The psychiatrists have so much to answer for on autism, ADHD, trans kids, because they sit at the back of the room and they allow the book that dictates what is and what isn't a mental disorder to be massaged by activists like this until in the end all of these things get put into categories where just about everyone can claim rights from having said illness.
What is Wes Streeting doing about all of this? He is the health secretary who said he was going to reform this mess of a health service we've got.
Wes Streeting is connected to Stonewall. He in the past he worked for Stonewall. He has allegiances with Stonewall. Don't believe any of it. It's in his blood. Just as Keir Starmer wants to be part of Europe, Wes Streeting is part of that ideology.
Damn straight. Wes Streeting probably wants to be part of Europe as well. I mean, he's not going to fix the NHS. He's already showing to me he's got no hope of doing it. I don't think his heart is in the right place.
I think
he's part of the woke virus that has made the NHS very sick indeed, isn't he?
All of this money. So this is money. We're spending money to set up these clinics to damage children. Then we're going to medicalise them. That costs money. This is our money that's being spent to do harm. The first time ever that the NHS has thrown safeguarding out of the room and decided that it's okay to harm children.
You know, and don't forget, so you and I both live quite near, don't we, the Tavistock Clinic where they used to treat gender dysphoric kids, and you know, we all know these stories. Literally, parents turning up there with 4-year-old kids, and these people, as I would say, grown sentient doctors, adults, nurses at the Tavistock Clinic.
Psychologists.
Yeah, psychologists. Yes, you are in the wrong body. Yes, we'll start treating you. And then when they get towards puberty, they give them puberty blockers. Then sometimes surgery. These people are supposed to be the guardians of these kids' welfare, allowing them to be mutilated. Once you start taking puberty blockers, you're never the same again.
Well, you're on the train. You're going to convert anyway.
Yeah, they've ruined the lives of many a kid. This was under the auspices of the NHS. About a year ago, they finally saw sense and said, we're going to close this clinic down, no more puberty blockers. But the madness continues, doesn't it?
But we'll open another 7.
Yeah.
I mean, fine. OK. And we won't do puberty blockers. Oh, we will if it's a trial, which means they're going to do puberty blockers.
Oh, God. Oh, dear.
Trials on children, never before seen. We'll use this drug that we know does harm in a trial on children. Medical ethics gone crazy.
And what about, as you said, what about these doctors the other day, was it a couple of weeks ago? I think we might have discussed it last week. The ones that, the junior doctors, so-called junior doctors, who said that there was no scientific basis in the Supreme Court's biological sex ruling. And their biological ruling was, if you're born a woman, you know, a female, that means you're a woman. If you're born with female genitalia, female attributes, you're a woman. Wow. It took them 5 years to reach that conclusion. At least they reached the right conclusion. Then, medically qualified doctors said there was no
intellectually
illiterate and had no basis in science. So that's just not true, is it?
So that comes back to education as well, doesn't it? Because it must mean that they feel quite comfortable in their medical training to make statements like that. It is insane. I would not want these doctors treating me. I wouldn't want them near my child.
Yeah,
I'm embarrassed by them.
I am too. I think they are a national embarrassment. I think the NHS, with this nonsense, it's wokery. The fact, Renee, that right now, you work there, the NHS is in revolt. It's doing everything it can to undermine the Supreme Court's ruling about biological sex. Everything it can. When did the NHS turn into this hotbed of political insanity?
Well, and the thing is, Kevin, we've got the same thing, haven't we? We've got doctors threatening Jewish patients, sticking Palestine stickers on their bed and in their room. There was a story a few weeks ago. patients feeling under threat as they're being treated if they're Jewish. So it seems that the NHS has become a campaigning activist organisation rather than the place where you go to get better.
Yeah, how about that? Yeah, treat a few patients, that kind of thing. It really is a disgrace. So just before we go to break, you know, I had this wonderful woman, actually, Jennifer Melley, on my show a couple of weeks ago, about 3 weeks ago now. And she's a woman who works at St Helier Hospital, a huge hospital in South London. I think it's the biggest, certainly in South England. Huge place. I know this because I used to be on my patch when I was on a local paper, Sutton Herald, chief reporter. Pretty impressive. Got sacked, actually.
Look at you now.
I did get sacked, but apart from that, for a while I was the chief reporter. Anyway, she's a woman that when a jailed paedophile turned up.
She's been suspended.
Yeah, but it gets what I'm going to put to you is something you may have noticed this element of the story, but she told it to me, and it's sitting exactly where you were, and my jaw dropped. Basically, the story, many of you may recall it, that this jailed paedophile was brought from prison to St Helier for, shall we say, a very male operation, something to do with his manhood, if you know what I mean. But of course, this paedophile now identifies as a woman. So Jennifer has got very strong religious beliefs. So she said, I'm sorry. He said, you've got to use my pronoun, he and she. She said, I can't do it. And she said there's two reasons. One, it goes against her religious faith. And secondly, you know, she's medically qualified. She's a nurse. She said it just seemed to me to be absolutely ridiculous to basically start calling it she, to this bloke, she and her and all that, when frankly he was having an operation, you know, down there. You know, she said it was just ridiculous. So she said, look, let's reach a compromise here. What's your name? Henry or whatever it was. I'll call you that. How's that? At which point he lunged at her and called her the N-word 3 times. No inquiry. They've just agreed to investigate that racism after a year. And the Nursing Council, about 3 months ago, said to her, because you misgendered this jailed paedophile who identifies as a woman, we consider that you could be a risk to the public.
Yeah.
It's extraordinary. Well, you know, come on.
You know what, it's forcing people to buy into somebody else's lie. And we're doing this to children as well, so don't forget, it goes all the way from the bottom. It would be like me insisting to you that I am Afro-Caribbean. And when you refer to me, my race, I want you to do that.
Yeah.
You look at me and say, but you're not, Renee.
Yeah.
You're white. And I say, no, don't offend me. You know, it's craziness.
Yeah.
You'd think I'd lost the plot. You would be right.
Yeah.
But with this particular subject, we're supposed to buy into it.
Yeah. A dedicated nurse of 12 years.
12 years, never a complaint.
Never a complaint. And whose side does the NHS come down on? The paedophile, the jailed paedophile scumbag, racist scumbag. They come down on his side. Honestly, that NHS you work for, you know, West Street's root and branch reform. I think it just needs to be ripped up and started again. It really does.
The taproot needs hacking off.
Oh, honestly, you know, the way it's venerated, another sickness of this country, venerate it. Oh, what a mess.
Meanwhile, elderly people live in shocking conditions in care homes because we can't fund them. They can't get their cataract operations. And when they fall over and break their hips, they don't get their surgery until they've died normally.
What a mess. Let's go to break on that upbeat note. Let's go to break. When we come back, we've got lots of calls for you. Call Dr. Renee with all your medical problems, and she's here to help. 0344 499 1000. That next, stay tuned.
We lost a huge amount of public trust and confidence, and I'm the first person to acknowledge that, but we've got to win that back by being honest about the mistakes we made.
If you have to do a deal with Nigel Farage reform to do that, to oust Labour, would you do it?
I want to put reform out of business. I want to send Nigel back to
If you can't put reform out of business, which doesn't look likely right now, given they're ahead of you by quite a long way in the polls, would you do a deal?
No, look, Kemi's been very clear. No pacts, no coalitions.
Are you very clear?
Yeah, I've said for a very long time that my objective is to bring back, over time, the millions of voters that we lost at the last election.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Well, it's now the surgery is open. It's called Dr. Renee. Give her a call with any of your medical questions. NHS, GP. If you're not just feeling very well, give her a call, or you may have specific conditions you want to talk about. And our first caller, I think, does. It's Michelle from London. Hello, Michelle. Talk to the doctor.
Hello, Michelle.
Hi, Dr. Ren. I spoke to you a few weeks ago. I've been diagnosed with glaucoma now, but that's another thing. I'm under the dental hospital because I've had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in my saliva gland, and I've just been today, and they found a white patch in my mouth. Now, I'm not going to Google this, but I see the look on his
Don't do that.
I see the look on his face, and I've come away thinking, like, what does that mean?
Okay, can you see the white patch?
No, I haven't looked because I didn't even know it was there. But they really had a rummage about, and I thought, well, usually, because he is so good looking, my consultant. No, he is, honestly, he's stunning. So, but...
Is he as good looking as me?
Oh, you're good in your series, I'll tell you. But he's like the Matthew, like the Godfather or something. But we always have a bit of banter, but tonight he was a bit serious, and I didn't want to put him on the spot. But usually I see him once a year, but he said to me, I've got photographs and I'm going to see you soon.
So, what, Michelle, where is this white patch?
It's where I've had my cancer before, my non-Hodgkin's.
Okay. So, a few questions for you. Do you smoke or drink, or have you?
Years ago, yeah. Okay. But I'm naughty. I do still smoke, but a packet of 20 lasts me over a month.
Okay, but that is a risk for mouth cancer. So that's what they're going to be thinking about. White patches in the mouth can be lots of things. They can be completely benign. They can be things like leukoplakia, where usually it's white, but you can't scrape it off, but it is there. Lichen planus, which is like white and lacy. You could have a bit of depigmentation where they did the surgery on your non-Hodgkin's. So it could be lots of things that are not serious, but you are right, it could also be something serious. So
he did say to me, I have to stop drinking tea. He told me that because, I'm very naughty with tea, but there's nothing else to drink.
Yeah.
Is tea bad for you?
Very hot tea has an association with esophageal cancer.
Do you drink your tea very hot, Michelle?
Yeah, I don't like it when it's warm.
No, nor do I. I'm with you there, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe let it cool down a bit more. But I think...
Put an ice cube in
They didn't do a biopsy of it for today because I think
No, he said to me he's going to call me very soon.
Yeah.
Because I have this other disease. I can't pronounce it, and it's silly. When you've got dry eyes and dry mouth. It's
Sjögren's syndrome.
Yeah, I had that. I had a biopsy for that many years ago. I've been under him since I've had the non-Hodgkin's, and I didn't have surgery. I just had intense chemotherapy. I had the chop.
Look.
No, it's called the chop.
Oh, okay.
It's pink. and it was on a trial, and that cured it. But he looked very worried tonight, and I didn't want to put him on the spot.
Well, look, you know what? Doctors always have to worry, is this really, really serious or is it not? That's actually our job, because once we've made that decision, then everything else becomes easy after that. So they'll always err on the side of caution, especially with your history. So I think I'm going to say the likelihood is it could well not be anything to worry about at all. So you're going to have to just be patient and wait for his call.
OK, thank you.
All right.
And Ted, have you watched it yet?
Have I watched what?
Oh.
That programme.
Oh. Yeah, remind me what it was. Remind me. I haven't.
Hitch. Snatch.
What's it called again?
Snatch.
Yeah, no, you know, you just reminded me. I'm gonna. What channel's it on?
It's like looking in the mirror at you, and half a good actor.
Oh no, I know that it was
You did look it up. You did look it up.
Do Grace Scott, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch that programme. Yeah, I will.
Thank you, Dr. Renee.
Take care, Michelle. Great to talk. Look after yourself. Fancy that, you know, go see the doctor. I've got to look at the doctor. Oh, God!
The thing is, we know very little about mouths.
Yeah.
So at medical school for 5 years, we learn almost nothing about teeth. And very little about mouths. So very often we will just refer on to dentist anyway.
Oh, really? Really? That's interesting. Listen, let's go to break now. And when we come back, Craig in Yorkshire, hang on and we'll talk to you then. So Craig in Yorkshire, Lex, stay tuned, everyone. And don't forget, call Dr. Renee with all your medical questions. If you're not feeling very well, problems with the NHS, can't get to see your GP, it doesn't have to be you, it could be a friend. It could be a loved one, your wife, your husband. Give her a call, 0344 499 1000. She's here to help. Back in a mo.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. We'll go back to the phones in a little while. We're going to talk to Craig in Yorkshire, but I've got a message for you here, Renee. It's from Kath. She said, "Hi Kev, could you possibly give Renee my sincere thanks for her excellent and moving opinion piece about care homes? It should be read out in Parliament for all to hear and digest. She is wiser than most MPs put together." Yeah, well, that's
Thank you so much.
That's setting the bar low, though, and very much more sincere. Yours gratefully, Catherine in Cardiff. I missed that piece. In the mail, was that?
Am I allowed to say this? It's on the GB News website.
Oh God, no! Don't go there. Yeah, it's actually not a particularly good piece, really. You know, it's not worth reading. So well done. You've obviously impressed Kath. So.
I actually asked why we despise our elderly so much.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree. Do you know what? I've talked to you before about this. You know, I've had both my parents died, you know, old. My father-in-law died old, and I just noticed that as they came to, you know, entered the final furlong, start to get lots more difficulties and medical, you know, this hurts. The doctors just go, well, you know, you're 90. You know, they seem to be, they seem to sort of not really try that hard with old people. There's something kind of weird about the way your profession, not you, but the way your profession reacts to old people.
I think since 2020, we have imported 430,000 people on care home work visas. There are still 130,000 vacancies. So where have all those people gone? They don't care about our elderly. They're just shipping people in on these visas because they want to ship people in, and they don't care who cares for them.
It should be a more prestigious profession than it is. It's regarded as sort of next to road sweeping or something. It's not right. Sorry, he's been waiting too long. Craig, sorry to keep you. This is Craig in Yorkshire. Please talk to the doctor, Craig.
Yeah, hi, good evening, Kev. Hello, Dr. Renee.
Hello, Craig.
Hello, lovely to actually speak with you. I've seen you on Kevin's show and with Dr. David on the weekend. It's just amazing.
Well, let's see how I can help, or if I can.
Well, let's see. Hopefully it's more simple than the last caller. So 2 weeks ago, picture the scene. I'm up on the Yorkshire moors above Ilkley Moor, famous Ilkley Moor, coming down a steep slope, and I kind of lose my footing, and my foot twists from side to side quite violently, and it causes a lot of pain in my foot. It was awful, really, really bad. I mean, I've kind of had, you know, these kind of minor sprains in the past, but this was like the world's worst sprain, at least for me. So the next day I went to the minor injuries in Otley, got in, seen straight away. It was fantastic. X-rayed, and they said, yeah, you've just got a sprain, so you just got to follow the Rice pathway, you know, the
Rice or Price. They keep changing it, don't they?
Yeah, they change it. They've got a P there now, have they? So Rice, they told me, you know, keep it rested, apply ice pack, compression, and keep it elevated, which is challenging because how can you keep it elevated when it's on your foot? And you have to walk from place to place. So walking around is fine, but I'm a bit reluctant to return to the moors and cycling because I do have some kind of pain on the top of my foot, and I wonder if that is likely to just get better in time, or what you're recommending.
So you're worried that, you know, after all these weeks you're still suffering pain due to this sprained foot, yeah?
Exactly, and to be fair, it's only been 2 weeks, so it's not a long period of time.
How old are you, Craig?
Being the bit that I'm 54.
Okay. So I'm going to say this, and I don't want to depress you. It will get better in time. That's number one. That's the good news. The bad news is that even in young people with ankle sprains, we see them flaring a year later every time they try and do something strenuous. So I'm afraid you're in for the long haul. I would say be sensible. And I always say to people, if you're grading your pain out of 10, 0 being no pain, 10 being the worst pain you've ever had, as long as it's no more than 5, I would carry on exercising. But if it goes over that, stop, because your body's trying to tell you something. I would take fairly regular ibuprofen because of the anti-inflammatory, not for the pain. People say, oh well, I don't need that, it's not that bad, but for the anti-inflammatory effect. And expect it to take a few months to actually get back to normal. I think cycling's better than running because cycling's non-impact, and just keep going. Make sure you've got some trainers that are well supportive of your foot, good arch support, and slowly.
Craig, stay where you are. For me and the audience, what exactly is a sprain?
So basically what you do is you stretch all of the ligaments that are attaching the muscles to the bones as you twist your ankle, and they might bleed a little bit, they get swollen, they get inflamed, and so everything's just a little bit irritated and swollen. The problem is that as we get older, especially once we get over 50, ligaments can take months to get better. Months.
Well, that's something for me to worry about when
you get over 50.
When I get past the age of 50,
Exactly.
Well, anyway, Craig, is that okay? It sounds to me as if you've just got to wait it out, yeah?
Wait it out. One other thing is you might want to get yourself an ankle support, just one of the, you can buy them, that, you know, they're made of like harder tubey grip, so that when you do want to go and walk on the moors, if you feel you need a bit of extra support, that's actually fine. Don't wear it all the time, because muscles get lazy. If you're doing the work for them all of the time, they'll just give up.
Thank you very much. That's great advice. Have a lovely evening.
Good to talk to you, Craig. Thanks very much for the call. Look after yourself. By the way, I've got a note here from Stuart Brown. Afraid it's bad news for you, mate. But the question is, Kevin, is Dr. Renee single?
Afraid not.
She's not. So there you go, Stuart.
Lost for words.
I don't know what to say to that. Now, let's go back to the phones then. Let's talk to Andrew in Leicester. There's something on the screen that I don't understand because it's a long word. Andrew, talk to the doctor.
Hello, Andrew. How can I help?
Evening, Kevin. Evening, Dr. Renee.
Hi.
Right. I've got probably a complicated one for you.
Oh, lovely.
My esophagus stopped working a few years ago.
Oh, okay. Esophageal dysmotility. Motility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, I was just constantly being sick.
Yeah.
So the NHS in Leicester diagnosed it. No, we can't really do anything. We don't offer the operations we can give you might not work. But then the doctor said, well, you can have an endostim fitted, but only privately. So I managed to borrow the money off the bank.
Wow.
Still paying it back.
How much did it cost out of interest, Andrew?
20,000.
Wow.
Is that because it's a procedure that hasn't got enough evidence behind it?
It's just there's some hospitals in NHS in England that do it and some that don't.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't know that.
Leicester's one that don't. I think there's 5.
That's so unfair, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it stopped working.
Oh.
Now, 18 months ago, because I've not worked for nearly 2 years. 18 months ago, I was waist size 34, 36. I'm now 26.
Yeah.
Sort of tells you. Now, I can see the pacemaker and all the wires in my stomach. I'm that thin.
So, okay, so...
The doctors in Leicester, we'll keep giving you test after test after test. I went to see my NHS, my practice surgery doctor last week. I said, well, send me to one of these other hospitals. Well, it's nothing to do with me. I can't do it. You'll have to contact the hospital yourself, try to get to speak to the consultant secretary and get him to do it. Nobody's interested.
Okay. First question, how long ago did you have the surgery?
7 years ago.
Okay, did you go back to the people who did the surgery?
It's the same day. It's the same consultant at the NHS.
Oh, wow. And what did
I know. That
okay.
That did not please me.
And what did he say? She say, he say?
He said, because he was giving me electric shocks, and when the electric shock started, I started being sick again. He said, I've scanned it, and he says it's working fine. He said, I'll turn it off, see if the electric shock stopped. The electric shock stopped. But there's no warranty on it.
I mean, that's hard to even comprehend, isn't it? That there's no warranty on a device that is electrical, that was clearly malfunctioning because when you turned it off, the problem stopped.
Yeah, the electric shock stopped. I'm still being sick. I put 2 and 2 together.
Okay.
Electric shocks, being sick.
So I think your GP does need to step in. I would certainly step in on your behalf. I would write to that consultant in the private capacity first off and point out the things you've pointed out to me. But what if you went to... Are you seeing him in the NHS?
Yeah.
Okay. And what does he say in the NHS?
I'll just send you for some more tests.
To what end?
To see what the problem is. I don't understand the logic. The amount of tests they've sent me for would have cost more than sending me to an hospital that does it, and it would have saved probably 10,000 by now.
Okay, so according to Wes Streeting and Labour, we can now refer you to a hospital of your choice wherever it is. So why don't you go back to your GP and say you want to be referred to the hospital that actually does this, and it's your right. You were told by the politicians that that's what they can do.
I tried that, and he still said it's nothing to do with him.
Okay. I mean,
but basically, none of them are interested because it's expensive. They don't want to know.
I understand. But, I mean, the best advice I can give you is to go back, get a bit stroppy with the GP and say you want to be referred to the hospital, or you write to the... write to your MP. I'd write to your MP.
Yeah.
I'm afraid that, Andrew...
I'm basically slowly starving to death.
Exactly.
Well, we have to tell a lot of people who ring in Call Dr. Renee that you have to go back to your doctor and you have to put your foot down and get stroppy because they'll fob you off if they can.
Make an appointment to see your GP in their surgery. Let them see you.
No, he saw me. I was in there. I took my top off.
No, not the GP. I'm going to have to bring it to an end now just because we've got so many calls. But make an appointment with your MP.
The MP, yeah.
Go and see your MP.
Take it to the
good
top.
luck.
You'd be surprised what a difference that makes. Once MPs get involved, things do happen. So that's the best we can do for you, Andrew. Really sorry about your problems and look after yourself. Thank you for an excellent call. That's Andrew in Leicester. Let's go to break now. When we come back, we'll talk to Jay in Hampshire.
We lost a huge amount of public trust and confidence, and I'm the first person to acknowledge that, but we've got to win that back by being honest about the mistakes we made.
If you have to do a deal with a Nigel Farage reform to do that, to oust Labour, would you do it?
I want to put reform out of business. I want to send Nigel back to
If you can't put reform out of business, which doesn't look likely right now, given they're ahead of you by quite a long way in the polls, would you do a deal?
No, look, Kemi's been very clear. No pacts, no coalitions.
Are you very clear?
Yeah, I've said for a very long time that my objective is to bring back, over time, the millions of voters that we lost at the last election.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. It's called Dr. Renee, Dr. Renee Hunderkamp, GP extraordinaire in the studio. Let's go straight back to the calls. Let's talk to Jay in Hampshire, who you can't move your hip or your neck, Jay. Talk to Dr. Renee.
Hello, and thank you so much for taking my call. I can move my hip. I cannot move my head.
Okay, how long's that been for, Jay?
Oh my gosh, it started just before Easter. And I had to call over Easter, 111, and they prescribed me some 3 days of diazepam just to keep it moving again, so I could do some physiotherapy, and which kind of cleared it up. I was fine, at least for a week. Then it came back. So I thought, okay, it wasn't as bad as what it was as now. So I called my cousin, who's a physiotherapist in Germany, and she gave me some more exercise. So I tried that. Now, the other day, I could not move it at all anymore. It wakes me up a few times at night. So I thought, okay, maybe it's time to see my GP. Made an appointment, went there, was seen by a student physician associate.
There you go. This is why they're saying that. I'm just going to interrupt. This is why they're saying that there are more GP appointments, because they're with physician associates.
Yeah.
And
she was a student, so she didn't really know.
Student.
Yeah.
Or was she like 13 or something?
I didn't know that the appointment was with her.
Exactly.
She was nice enough, but she had no idea. I
know, but the lady who works in Sainsbury's that I know is quite nice, but I wouldn't want her as my doctor. This is the other reason that doctors can't get jobs
anymore. What do they call them again?
Physician associates.
And so this is what they're saying, oh, you are getting a doctor's appointment, but you're not. Right. Okay. Sorry, Jay, I interrupted.
Yeah, that's okay. When she finished taking my blood pressure and, everything else.
Okay. So look, I tell you,
I just get this. It's only takes a few more seconds. She said, "I'll speak with my supervisor, who was a practice nurse, who came in and said to me, well, you're not getting any more diazepam if that's what you want." And I was just sitting there saying, I don't want any medication from you. I just want some treatment, something that helps. I never said a word. I wanted some more diazepam. Yeah. I just want to move again without pain.
Okay. How old are you, Jay?
52.
Okay. So, look, this is what's going to be going on here is degeneration in your neck, essentially. Yes. It happens to the best of us at this age, I'm afraid. And something has moved. You've probably got a slipped disc, and that's what's going on, and that's what's causing the pain. Unfortunately, it's going to take a bit more time. Fortunately, usually, it does always get better within about 8 weeks.
Okay.
So it sounds like you might be halfway there. Along the way, obviously you want painkillers, ibuprofen for anti-inflammatory. You want gentle movements if you can, because you don't want the muscles to go into a spasm. Yeah. There is a YouTube site called You Fix You, letter U, Fix You, written by a spinal surgeon. You can take a playlist off, and when you're able to exercise, not yet because it sounds like you can't, but when you are, use that playlist to strengthen the muscles, because it will happen again. So what you want to do is support the neck so that you actually don't get it so often. But that's probably what's happening. If it persists past 8 weeks, you'll need an MRI to see what's going on.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right. Good luck, Jay. Thanks for calling.
Thanks,
Jay in Hampshire there. By the way, I got a message from Stuart Brown here. He wants to, he says, Dr. Renee, he says, all my grandchildren identify as complete idiots. What does Dr. Renee advise?
Most children are. Yeah. Just knock them out of it.
Don't take them to the NHS, Stuart, you know what I mean. Right, let's go back to the phones. By the way, after the 9 o'clock news, I'm going to be joined by Kinsey Schofield over on the West Coast. We're going to catch up with the latest goings-on with Harry and Meghan. Apparently they've been had this sort of summit meeting with Brooklyn Beckham and his wife Nicola Peltz, because Brooklyn, of course, is estranged from his family, no longer talks to his dad, David Beckham. You can see that.
Can you imagine that meeting? Just driving the wedge in a bit harder.
Yeah, well, I'm just thinking, you know, that Brooklyn Beckham, Nicola Peltz, Meghan and Harry ought to be a fly on the damn wall, eh? Right, let's go back to the phones. So Kinsey after the 9 o'clock news. Also, I can reveal that I made Meghan's cookies. We tried them earlier.
Didn't save me one, did you?
Yeah, well, I would have done, but they were wolfed down at the office. My wife Henrietta, who I'm going to admit now did play a bit of a part in helping to make them. They would have been an absolute disaster if it was just me. I tried my best, but she made them come out pretty well.
You could have made the rainbow fruit salad.
But she did say make sure you don't bring any back, because she said she would eat them all. So
yes, I get
anyway, we'll talk about all that in a few minutes. But first, let's go back to the phones. Let's talk to Lee in Birmingham. He's got a problem with his foot. Talk to Dr. Renee. Lee.
Hello, Lee.
Good evening, Kevin and Dr. Renee.
Hi.
How can I help?
You got a problem with your foot, yes?
Yes, I have a problem with my foot. In 1998, I was discharged and thrown out the army with an injured foot. And then they diagnosed, well, they found that I had a slight hammer toe, and it caused a lot of problems with the ball of my foot, putting pressure on it. I struggled with that until 2006, when I couldn't even stand in the shower or do anything. In 2006, I had 3 toes fused with a tendon graft.
Okay.
That didn't work. I then asked to be referred to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Birmingham, which is the home of the Royal Centre for Defence Medicine.
So what's the problem now, Lee? What is your problem right now?
The problem is I cannot put any pressure on my foot. I can't stand in the shower. I can't walk anywhere without, like, trainers on. I can't stand on my foot.
Okay, but you can walk with a trainer on.
I can, but with the leg, I'm now limping that bad. It's like I walk like an amputee.
I mean, I don't know what I can input here, Lee, just because you've clearly seen so many people, you've had so many surgeries. I would imagine they've done everything that they can, and I'm not sure what else I could suggest.
In 2022, I was down to have surgery at the Royal Orthopaedic in Birmingham.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where they was going to...
well, did you have that surgery?
No, they was going to rebuild restructure the foot.
Why didn't you have the surgery, Lee?
They were supposed to give me a telephone consultation. They never contacted me, and they struck me off the list.
So get put back on it.
It sounds like you do need your foot restructured, so you need to get back into the medical system.
So this happens all the time. I see this every day, Lee. People that have been discharged because they didn't pick up the phone or whatever. So you just get your GP to send them a nice email saying very firmly, this patient does want to have the surgery. Please, can you see him as soon as possible? I did one today.
I contacted my doctor and I asked to be referred to the Queen Elizabeth, which is the home of the Royal Centre for Defence Medicine in Birmingham.
OK, that sounds like a different issue, Lee. I think to the hospital where they were going to do your surgery, if you wanted that surgery now, then your GP could legitimately send them an email to ask you to be put back on the list. If you want a referral to a different hospital now, she can do that too, but I suspect the wait will be quite long.
They've refused to contact any hospital. They said it's my responsibility to recontact the hospital.
I mean, this is the second time we've heard this tonight. I just don't understand it, because it isn't.
It's the GP's job, isn't it?
It's the GP's
job. To refer to a hospital.
Yeah.
That's the system. You need to go back to your GP, Lee, because it's a GP's job to refer you to the hospital.
Yeah, but they're also telling me that there's a blanket ban on veterans being referred to the QE in Birmingham.
So I can't comment to that,
well, go to another hospital.
Because I don't know what the local policies are, and they do vary area by area. So I mean, I absolutely have no idea if that's true. It doesn't sound...
It's probably not the only hospital that can do that procedure. So
veterans are supposed to get priority as well, so...
All right, Lee, you've got to go back to your GP and demand to be referred to a hospital.
Your other foot down.
All right, Lee, we've got to move on because I've got to talk to other people, but I hope that's okay. Look after yourself.
Thanks,
Thank you very much. That's Lee in Birmingham. Let's go to, we've got time for a last call, I think, maybe two, but at least one. Lottie in Lancashire. Hi, Lottie. She's got pins and needles in her fingers. Am I right, Lottie? Speak to the doctor.
Hello, Lottie.
Hi, Kevin. Hi. Yeah, about 6 weeks ago, I was using my iPad with my pen, and I started getting like pins and needles in my fingers, so just sort of like shook it away, and it's got worse and worse, and now I've got like electric shocks in my fingers and pain up my arm, in my wrist.
Okay, so a couple of questions. Does it wake you up at night?
Last night was the first night that it woke me up.
Okay. If you did this, can you see me on TV now? If you did this...
I can't.
You can't see me, okay.
No.
If you put the backs of your hands together and sort of make an upside down prayer sign, and if that makes your hands tingle, then it means there's something going on at your wrist called carpal tunnel.
I can do that.
Shall we try that then? So you,
yeah, I'm trying that now. So
right,
the back
like that.
with my hands together.
And just hold it like that. And if that makes the tingles in your fingers, then that indicates that it's probably at your wrist.
Does that make your fingers tingle, Lottie?
Yeah, it does actually.
There you go. So what are we talking about here, Renee?
Okay, so carpal tunnel can happen for lots of reasons. Have you put weight on recently?
No, never.
Okay, I'm assuming you're not pregnant currently.
No, I'm 65.
Okay, you're not retaining fluid.
Not much danger of getting pregnant then either.
I've got absolutely nothing wrong with me whatsoever.
Good.
I keep my weight down.
Great.
I exercise, so no, it's just... And I've not been to the doctor for about 3 years.
Right, so there's either two things. It's either carpal tunnel, and that's why I asked about nighttime, because that often wakes you up at night when your hands go like this when you're sleeping. And you can actually get splints to hold your hand in the upright position so that that doesn't happen. But as it's happening to you on your iPad, I suspect it might be positional. So again, your hand's in a certain position. But it might also be your neck. So you may need to have some imaging, an MRI of your neck, to see if it's touching nerves that are feeding your fingers. And I would also recommend a blood test for vitamin B12.
Right, okay. I take lots of vitamin B12.
Yeah, but some people don't absorb it very well. But it would be good to see what your levels are.
Okay.
So you got, it sounds like you got, what was it called, carpal tunnel?
Could be carpal tunnel, could be your neck. But that's the pathway to go down.
All right, Lottie? Does that sound good?
Thank you. And Kevin,
yes.
Kevin, I love your lilac sweater.
My lilac sweater. Have I got a lot?
I sent you a text message saying I love your lilac sweater.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you.
Sounds like a granddad sweater.
Yeah. Not very cool, that, is it? Lottie, thank you for that compliment, and thank you for calling, and look after yourself. Let us know how it goes.
We're both doing well tonight.
That's Lottie in Lancashire. That's about it. Fantastic, Dr. Renee, as usual. Thanks very much, Renee. We'll see you again next week, same time, same place, 8 o'clock here on the Political Asylum. Call Dr. Renee. She's here to help. Always does a great job, I think. When we come back after the news, as I said earlier, it's Kinsey Schofield all the way over on the west coast of America, quite close to where Harry and Meghan live. So we'll be talking about them. This extraordinary summit, the secret summit apparently between Harry, Meghan, Brooklyn Beckham and Nicola Peltz. Maybe comparing notes about their family feuds. That's what we think apparently. So lots to talk about. So stick around and we'll be back in a minute.
How much, ladies and gentlemen, are fish and chips where you come from? And we'll go to Jason in Crewe.
Jason from Crewe, fish, chips and peas, £7.50. It's the best chippy in England.
Janice in Leeds, go.
Regarding fish and chips, in Leeds it's between £9.50 and £12.75.
Whitby, how much is fish and chips?
3 of us, fish, chips, peas, I think one of us curry sauce, 3 cans of pop, just short of 70 quid.
£70? That's 23 quid a head, man. Even my maths does that. Very quickly, a voice note. Campbell in Scotland, go.
Up here in Banff in the northeast of Scotland, we can get a fillet and a half of haddock with a regular chips for £8 and 10 pence, and it's by far and away one of the best chippies I've ever had.
Kenneth in Surrey, fish and chips, go.
Fish and chips in Ascot, about half a mile from where you used to live, will cost you £12 and 60 pence. Great show. Keep up the good work.
That's why I moved, because you were living there. When was the last time you had fish and chips?
Couple of weeks
How
ago.
much? Where'd you get it from?
I think it was about 40 quid. It was in the Ivy.
Honestly, you really are. For any of you who think he's a man of the people, I nearly said you're a...
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. In a little while, I'm going to talk to Kinsey Schofield. But in the meantime, after we finish with Kinsey, which will be in about 20-25 minutes, it's over to you. It's your calls, your texts, your WhatsApp voice notes. So give me a call, 03444991000. Let me know what you think about the latest fiasco on the migrant crisis front. Keir Starmer's calamitous trip to Albania, where he wanted to set up other country hubs for our migrants, and the Albanian leader, who's about 10 foot taller than him, said, "No way, Jose." So that was a joke. He actually claimed that the number of boats crossing the channel has come down drastically. It hasn't, Keir. It's gone up drastically. It's 40% up on last year. You're breaking all records, so don't lie to us. Let me know what you think about that. Lucy Connolly, she was having her appeal. She is the poor mum who got 31 months for posting a nasty tweet during the Southport riots. What is she even doing in jail? Never done anything wrong before in her life. You know, why is she in jail when Hugh Edwards, for example, a nasty little paedophile, the BBC's in-house child sex abuser, why did he walk free and Lucy's doing 31 months? Why did Lucy get 31 months when some of the actual rioters, those throwing bricks at the coppers trying to set fire to mosques, got 2 years? They got much less than her. What is that all about? 03444991000. And when the Justice Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, says a moment of reckoning is coming for all of those who turned their backs, turned a blind eye to the rape gang scandal, the coppers, the social workers, the teachers, the local politicians. When she says a moment of reckoning is coming for them, considering Labour has cancelled all inquiries into the worst sex abuse scandal in the history of this country, in what way can a moment of reckoning be coming for those awful people who let the rape gang saga continue because they didn't want to be accused of racism? If they kind of exposed this, they could be exposed to, they could be accused of Islamophobia or racism. What does she mean by that? 03444991000. Get on the phone. Let's talk. It's good to talk on Talk. Before we get to you, though, very important, we have to go over to the West Coast to talk to my favourite American, Kinsey Schofield. Hi, Kinsey.
Hi, Kev. I'm glad to see you're still living after that cookie tryout and loose fruit spread. Yeah, I'll tell you something,
Kinsey. The jam or the non-jam, it's not horrible. It's just like really average. It's a bit thin, it's liquidy, and sort of bit too tangy. A bit sort of sour. It's all right. And I've been boasting that I made the cookies. I'll be honest with you, I had a little bit of assistance from somebody called Henrietta, aka my wife. Your better half. Yeah, my much better half. But I tried, but it was such a mess. She had to come to the rescue. But she made a really good job of it. We ate the cookies. I passed them around the office. They're all right. But I tell you something. If that jam, these cookies, the edible flowers and the honey, if that's the backbone of her business, it's just, I know now it's not going to work. No one's coming back for that stuff. You might buy it the first time round out of novelty value. Let's see what Meghan's produce is like. Who's going to buy it again? I really now do genuinely fear for the future of As Ever.
Well, it sounds pretty mediocre, which is a nice segue into our friend Brooklyn Beckham, who went on national television to make a grilled cheese sandwich and was absolutely destroyed for it. I imagine that Brooklyn and Meghan have been swapping a lot of recipes between each other. And it's just, here's how you freeze ice.
Yeah.
Here's what I do with my peanut butter pretzels. Yeah. Like these, it's two morons.
Hey, Brooklyn. Hey, Brooklyn, have you tried taking pretzels out of the manufacturer's bag and putting them into empty plastic bags and then putting ribbons around them? It's great. Yes, I forgot about the cooking angle, but let's talk about this. Apparently last week, Meghan and Harry had Brooklyn Beckham and Nicola Peltz over for dinner. Let's be accurate about this. Let's be truthful. They weren't the only guests. Apparently there were a fair few guests there, but they were among the guests. And The Sun had this great exclusive over here this morning. And apparently both couples compared their family feuds, and Harry, their toxic family feuds, because of course Brooklyn is estranged from his dad, doesn't talk to David Beckham. Harry's estranged from his dad, doesn't talk to the king. Meghan doesn't talk to her family. So apparently they compared notes about all of this, and Harry expressed his unwavering sympathy and support for Brooklyn. Quite an extraordinary get-together, really.
I mean, you are who you associate with, so I expect nothing less than a bunch of rejects and losers to hang out in a Montecito kitchen together. This, to me, is just so foul because, again, Brooklyn and Nicola, given the opportunities and the platforms that they have today, thanks to their parents, they're both Nepo babies. What do Harry and Meghan have in common? They're both Nepo babies. Thomas Markle is an Emmy-winning lighting director from Hollywood and got Meghan some of her first work. She was on Married with Children. He got her a gig on General Hospital, another place that he used to work, and he helped start her career. Nicola's family, the same way. They have a ton of money. And to turn your backs on the people that have opened these doors for you and given you these opportunities and be so vile in the public, well, I would expect nothing less for them to somehow find each other in life and make friends. They can sit there with each other and hype each other up and help each other justify their vulgarity and their cruelty towards their elders.
Yeah, is that like it was called a secret summit? And you're right, it's a secret summit of ungratefulness. All of those people owe their positions in life to their parents, on whose back they've turned. They've turned their backs on their mums and dads. So you're right about that. Also, the other dynamic that is similar is that, you know, these guys, Harry and Brooklyn, have married these women. And it's, well, certainly in Meghan's case, Meghan has turned him against his family, and turned him into this sort of miserable guy over there in the West Coast. And we learn that Brooklyn's problem with his family is that Nicola doesn't get on with them either, so she's not keen on him hanging out with them. So again, that similarity, these women, the wives who have taken their husbands away from their families.
Husbands that have this Peter Pan syndrome and really are lost in their lives. I mean, I joked about Brooklyn going on TV here in the States and making his famous breakfast sandwich that got 2 stars out of 5 on the Today Show's website. But he also released a photography book. This is somebody that's been throwing a lot of darts at the board, trying to figure out what to do with his life. We see the same with Prince Harry. Is Prince Harry a published author? Is he with a ghostwriter? Is he a podcaster? Is he, he's being booted out of charities left and right, and his charities are being accused of horrific scandals. What would Prince Harry describe himself as? What does Brooklyn describe himself as? These are lost men that have found 2 women that are obsessed with pursuing fame, and they've utilized these men to elevate themselves. This is not Nicola's first famous boyfriend. She dated Gigi Hadid and Bella Hadid's brother prior to this, and the sisters and the mother, their mother's very famous too, but I'm spacing on her name because I'm a horrible person. But their mother encouraging him to break up with Nicola because they felt like she was so controlling and had one focus and one focus only, and it was using that family to elevate her own star power. Meghan Markle, the same. She was married prior to Prince Harry to a producer, and the word on the street was that she was unhappy in their marriage because he wasn't giving her the types of roles she'd like in his movies that he was producing, and that she was angry that he wasn't helping her out as much as she felt like he could be. So I think that there are a lot of themes going on here.
Yeah, indeed. indeed. It's a fascinating get-together, to say the least. Now, you and I have been talking a lot over the last couple of weeks since that extraordinary, that disastrous interview that Harry gave to the BBC after his ludicrous case to try to get his long legal battle to try and get armed police protection when he comes back to Britain. He doesn't warrant it. He doesn't deserve it. Only the very special frontline royals get it. He used to get it. And the only royals that get armed police protection, gun guards, by the cops here, wherever they go, are Charles, Camilla, William and Kate. No one else does. Harry used to get it because he was very popular, but when he flitted, when he ran away, Megxit, and stopped being a frontline royal, he doesn't deserve it anymore. Anyway, so he wasted a load of money, 3 different appeals, absolute waste of space. He lost the case. Everybody knew he was going to, and then, like a spoilt brat who didn't get his own way, he threw his toys out of the pram in this incendiary interview, you know, saying his dad was, the king was colluding, conspiring with shadowy figures in the government because they want him dead. I mean, it was a deranged spew of insanity. It really, really was. And depressing, and he was miserable and really unlikable. You know, nothing is my fault. It's not my fault. I'm the victim. My wife's a victim. Victim. You're not a victim, mate. You won the lottery in life. You really did. Not many people get born in a palace, instant billionaires, you know, for God's sake. And he's miserable. Anyway, he gave that interview, and his father had already said, enough is enough, I'm not talking to this guy anymore. And the nation was already, Britain that is, fed up to the back teeth with him already. So his popularity was already going down. Well, the new poll has revealed it has now plummeted. It's on a vertical descent, that 20%, his popularity has dropped by 20%. It's lowest since 2017, and it's falling fast. So his dad's had enough, and Britain, millions of Brits who used to love him because he was a likeable lad, a likely lad, you know, really likeable guy. They're sick to the back teeth of his whinging, moaning, complaining, victimhood ways. He's really gone and done it now, hasn't he?
Well, I think that the numbers are a little mixed up. I think that Meghan is the lowest since 2017 when YouGov started to monitor.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yep.
When they announced the engagement of Harry and Meghan. Now, Prince Harry's, I think this is important to point out, Prince Harry's is the lowest since 2023. And that's around the time we are getting hit with the Netflix series and Prince Harry's book Spare. So what does that tell you? It tells you that the UK public are disenchanted by Prince Harry airing his dirty laundry. And that's exactly what we saw in the form of this BBC interview again. So, I mean, if I am on Prince Harry's team, PR team, communications team, and marketing team, I'm saying to Prince Harry, look at these poll numbers, look at these results. What do they have in common? This is the public reacting to you speaking negatively about your family out there in the open. You have got to stop doing that. You have to stop doing that immediately. If I'm talking to Meghan looking at these, I'm saying, good Lord, we need to pump the brakes. In the last few months, you have released a new podcast, a new television series, and a new lifestyle line, as long as with a random website where people can purchase what you wear or what you like with affiliate links, and you get the kickback. You are posting from the Beyonce concert and the James Taylor concert. The public does not like you. Yeah,
well, you're right. You're absolutely right, Kinsey, because those are the numbers. You're right, I got it wrong. It's that Harry's popularity has dropped to 27%. So in other words, 73% of Brits can't stand him. And Meghan's popularity here has dropped to 20%. So 80% of the people here in Britain don't like her. So those two, he's burned all the bridges now. He's really burned the bridges. I think his father, the public here, by the way, are loving the fact that the king, a famously mild-mannered guy who doesn't like conflict, is showing a lot of backbone now and just saying enough is enough. I'm not putting up with this kid anymore. I'm not putting up with...
Hey, let's not forget that one of the last times Prince Harry was in town, do you know who King Charles was with? David Beckham. David Beckham.
And also, let's not forget that Prince Harry fell out with David Beckham, didn't he? Because they had a falling out in... Beckham expected to see him when they were both in Florida or something, and Harry, apparently inspired by Meghan. David Beckham...
What happened
David
was
Beckham
Prince
thought
Harry
they were selling
and Meghan,
stories about them, didn't they?
Prince Harry and Meghan accused David Beckham and Victoria Beckham of selling stories about them, and it turned out it was the receptionist at the salon. David got over that and was like, you know what, I'm going to be the bigger person, showed up to support Harry at Invictus, and Meghan insisted he not be photographed with David Beckham at Invictus because she wanted to ensure that her and Harry were the main story coming out of the Invictus Games.
Yeah, and I told you before, you know, I've done a bit of reporting on the Beckhams, Victoria and David, you know, and they are no angels. But I know one thing about them. I know one thing about David Beckham and Victoria Beckham. They don't sell stories, and they don't get people to sell stories either. So Harry's accusations against them were, of course, inspired by Meghan. Meghan is the one who pointed the finger. So Harry, as always, did what Meghan said. But I know that those allegations about the Beckhams, I'm no fan of David and Victoria, but I know that those allegations are just not true. So Harry fell out with David Beckham for no reason at all. And of course, as you say, Kinsey, David Beckham is now very friendly with the King. So they no doubt compare notes about the Harry they once knew. Here's another story that's emerged about Meghan this week, which I thought was hilarious. That she has revealed that she doesn't have time to cook meals for her husband and her kids. But she sure as hell knows how to make their takeaways beautiful. Big deal. Wow. So they want takeaways. She shoves some of her edible flowers all over them, which, by the way, taste like sawdust. I can reveal that now because I've tried them. But what I gleaned from this, Kinsey, it was only 2 weeks ago, wasn't it, that we learned she suddenly dropped it into conversation, old Meghan. Oh, I'm a full-time mum, you know, I love the kids, I'm juggling work and parenthood, being a mum. She suddenly dropped in conversation, I think probably by mistake, that she's got a full-time nanny who takes the kids to school and stuff like that. Well, what I'm gleaning from when she says, I don't have time to cook, but I sometimes sprinkle edible flowers on our takeaways, this family, the Sussexes, they clearly don't exist on takeaways. They got a chef as well, haven't they?
Well, I mean, what is Doria Ragland doing? Because from what I understand, she spends such a significant amount of time in Montecito that people assume she lives there. So, you know, is Doria Ragland like nanny number 2? They have plenty of help. But I want to defend Meghan Markle here when she says that she doesn't have time to cook, because plagiarism is exhausting. And she spends a significant amount of time copying other people's ideas and stealing the names of other people's brands. And, you know, I just think that that's got to be so exhausting when she spends all of this time creating lists on the internet of things she likes to buy. Her favorite pair of beige pants, you know, her 13th pair of beige pants that she adds to her website. So look, she's got so much going on, you know.
Yeah. Here's another story that the New York Post, its famous Page 6 column, which is a pretty good source of information. It's pretty accurate, the Page 6, very, very famous, of course. They're reporting that sort of Harry has let it be known that, you know, this furious feud he's got going with William, with his brother William, that he is unlikely to attend, when the time's right, Harry's unlikely to attend William's coronation. Yeah, Ginger Nuts, I got news for you. You're unlikely to be invited. Yeah?
Yeah, that's my friend Hugo Vickers. That was the commentator there.
Yeah.
And I don't see a world where Prince Harry returns for Prince William's coronation, because I think he knows he will not be welcome. I mean, do you remember the fashion show Prince Harry put on despite having to sit behind the Princess Royal's hat? I mean, Harry was sitting behind Princess Anne's hat, but everybody, he wanted the world to know that he was wearing Dior to his father's coronation. Prince William is at his wit's end with these two, monetizing the monarchy and taking advantage of the exact same institution that they continue to try to tear down, like when Meghan Markle sits down with Jamie Lynn Kern-Lima. And they talk about how Meghan was in the trenches. I mean, that's an insult to Meghan continues to, under the radar, insult this family that gave her the platform she has today. And I just think that Harry's going to know he's not welcome. There won't be a place for him, especially after it's going to be a very uncomfortable. I don't even like to discuss a funeral inevitably, but he's not going to be welcome there, and he's going to know, and he's going to have no enthusiasm on returning.
Yeah, well, let's not forget in that awful interview he gave to the BBC, you can't overestimate the damage that stupid man did when he sat down with the BBC and levelled all those deranged allegations against everybody who was conspiring against him. Mad paranoia. But
willing to walk around and just knock on everybody's door.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in just a second, but you can't underestimate the damage he did. But of course, in that interview, he said, I don't know how long my father's got left. An outrageous thing to say. What we hope is he's got years to left, but there will come a time where there'll be, as you say, a funeral. Harry, I guess, will go to that, but there'll be then a coronation. Now, William is far more, hard-line than his dad. He's so furious with his brother. So typical entitlement by Harry, letting it be known, I might not go to the coronation. Let me tell you, William won't invite him. I know William. Well, I don't know him, but I know the kind of guy he is. And by the way, William will really put his foot down and ban those two from using the HRH titles they are not entitled to use.
Look, I think my biggest frustration when it comes to the idea of Prince Harry attending Prince William's coronation is stop calling this a prison, talking about how your brother and your father are trapped in this, he describes it as like this hostage situation, right? He said it on Oprah Winfrey. He talked about it a little bit during the Netflix series, and we heard it regurgitated during the BBC interview. I'm stuck in this family. Like, I can't get out of this family. I am who I am. Then take the titles off. Your kids don't need to be prince and princess. You are setting them up for failure. Exactly. If you truly believe this, stop being such a hypocrite. Look in the mirror, and you look like a freaking idiot next to James Taylor in a beanie. It is hot outside. It's summertime, Harry.
Exactly right. And also, for God's sake, wake up and smell the coffee. Not many people get born in a palace, already multi-millionaires, never really going to have to work in their life, will live a life of luxury, fly in private planes, live in fantastic houses. Not many people get that, and yet this guy is so miserable. Everyone's against him. He's the victim. They are both addicted to the victimhood they don't deserve. They're not victims. They are self-styled victims. That's a different thing. Let's finish, if we can, Kinsey, on what you alluded to just then. This extraordinary footage, or these pictures of Harry, looking for his friend in London when he came over for the court case that he so humiliatingly and inevitably lost. After a day in court, he headed out to see this couple, these friends of his, at their home. He didn't have the number of the street, and he didn't quite realise, he's such a brilliant guy, isn't he? He didn't quite realise they've moved to Switzerland. But there he is, banging on these London doors. So there's two things I want to bring up. First of all, this is a guy who's terrified for his own safety. What's he doing banging on doors, all on his own? Is anybody in? Hello, hello, hello. And secondly, so where's the security there? Where's the safety there? And secondly, what was that thing on his nose? Massive, great sort of burst boil. What do you think's going on there?
Well, I mean, if you some of the internet chatter is that, like, did he have a long night? Because there's a pub around this neighborhood that one of his friends owns. So some of the internet chatter has been like, is this Prince Harry, after a bender? I mean, allegedly, I should say. Yeah. But that's. I
know what people are saying. They're basically saying that he was in search of ways to adjust his attitude, should we put it that way? I mean, I don't think there's anything in that. I think he was genuinely looking for friends, but people have come up with some very nefarious reasons for what he might have been up to. But I am intrigued by this massive sort of burst boil on his nose, which, if nothing else, Kinsey, tends to indicate a man who's very physically run down.
Yeah, I mean, he needs to improve his skincare regime, and I am the girl. I call me Harry. I can tell you all the hacks. I love skincare. But I would say that it's just such, my girlfriend Maureen Callahan made this point to me earlier this week. What a reflection on Prince Harry's life. Lost. Yeah. He lost his court case. He's lost in London. I mean, he's just so absolutely lost. We were just talking about how we can't define what he does for a living. We can't define what his legacy would be. No one's going to take you seriously talking about trying to keep your children off the internet when your wife is posting the children on the internet to try to enhance her profile and her public image. Is it going to be fighting the paparazzi? Your wife's one. So, you're going to have to start at home there too. I just don't know what he has to look forward to every day.
I mean, Meghan's life is full. It's full of nonsense that I don't think is going to come to a hill of beans. But
and clearly babysitters, because these two are home despite Prince Harry telling us that his children are in jeopardy. They're always at Beyonce, James Taylor, whatever. Clearly her full life of babysitters.
Absolutely, but you're right. He's lost in California, a country I don't think he quite understands America yet. Americans are struggling to understand him, but he's lost and he's got no direction home. He's burnt all his bridges. It's a sad, sorry sight to see. It really is, and I do feel a little bit sorry for him because he's not the brightest man alive. He's not the sharpest pin in the pack. I don't think he's got the intellect to handle his predicament, and he is in a real mess right now. Kinsey, fantastic to talk to you. Have a fantastic weekend. We'll talk on Monday. The brilliant Kinsey Schofield over there on the West Coast. We're going to go straight to break. When we come back, it's your calls, it's your messages and your WhatsApp voice notes. So stick around, folks.
One doctor, one of the 400 who said they supported it, described the bill as long overdue and a basic human right. Is it your human right to end your life? And this is it. I think individually, as Julia said, I think I should have that right. I genuinely think. But then what if you lose your marbles and you don't really have a sense of what is going on? You have some kind of degenerative illness. It's terminal. What do they mean by terminal? You've got 6 months to live, 6 years to live.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. We're going to have phones in just a second. Here's a quick note from WhatsApp message from Deborah. She says, evening Kev, Labour will never own up or deal with the grooming gangs and those involved while in office. However, I do believe that once reform takes over, and I believe they will, especially next year when they take Wales, in my opinion, it will all come out. I just hope heads will roll and prosecutions ensue. Couldn't agree with you more, Deborah. And if reform are going to pick up the mantle, if they do ever get to power, my God, they've got a head of steam, haven't they? They've got momentum going with them. If they get into power, I do believe they'll do the right thing. This government is not doing the right thing about these rape gangs. This country deserves a public inquiry into the worst sex abuse scandal in the history of this nation. And just because it's a bit embarrassing for the Labour government and a bit embarrassing for the former DPP, Keir Starmer, they won't do anything about it. They're trying to sweep it under the carpet, and that is a disgrace. It's an absolute awful. It really is a disgrace. Let's go back to the phones, though. Let's talk to Trevor in London. You want to talk about their grooming gangs there, Trevor? Let's call them rape gangs. That's what they are. What would you like to say?
Well, first of all, I don't understand as to why these people who committed these terrible atrocities in these young girls, obviously their motherland is not UK, and why we haven't been able to deport them back to the countries of their origin. Well,
they're not. The thing is, Trevor, I think the majority, I think I'm right in saying the majority of them are British. You know, they are Muslim men of Pakistani origin. You know, they're antecedents of Pakistani mainly. They're Muslims, they're Islamic, but many of them are British citizens born and bred here, if you see what I mean. But I agree with you, there are many of them too, a proportion of them, you're right, are actually Pakistanis. And it is surprising how many of them haven't been deported back to their own country. Once they're nicked for this, and quite a few of them have gone to jail, not enough. There are still people that should go to jail, have not quite been tracked down yet, so that needs to happen. But those who are from Pakistan should have gone back. They should have just been deported. Not enough of them have.
But also the jail sentence, I don't think, has been sufficient for what they've done to these young girls. These young girls will have the rest of their life will be a torment of looking back on what happened to them. They'll never get over this. But these guys will move on with their lives.
You're so right.
Put this behind them.
Trevor, you're exactly right. I've had two rape gang victims, incredible women, both on my show. One was silhouetted, the other was bravely revealed herself, allowed herself to be named and shown. But both of them, are explaining, this ruined all these girls, 250,000 of them, they estimate, 250,000 vulnerable young white girls, many of them underage. Under the age of 16, their lives are ruined. They've had their entire lives ruined, and that's the magnitude of this crime. And let me give you a little pop fact, just to sum up what you're saying, and I agree. They didn't. Those who did get convicted, who did go to jail, their sentences were nothing like severe enough. So here you go. Bear this in mind. It's Lucy Connolly today, the lady we're talking about, who put some nasty words on Twitter during the Southport riots. 31 months. What is that? 2 years and 7 months. A rape gang member in Telford who was convicted of raping an underage girl, paedophile rape, he got 2 years. He got 7 months less than Lucy Connolly. Something wrong with our legal system, don't you think, Trevor?
It's definitely, listen, these areas are all Labour controlled.
Yeah.
And this is the reason why Labour have appeased them.
Absolutely.
This, as you just said, the people who spoke out during the after the attacks of those young girls in the school received higher sentences, all because the government deemed them as right-wing.
That's right, that's right, that's exactly right.
These men that go out and abuse these young children have seemed to, they seem to get a soft touch, all because the fact is Labour wants to appease their voters.
Yeah, because in Keir Starmer's world and this cabinet's world, the Labour government's world, there's no such thing as a right-wing person. Anyone who's right of centre is far right. You know, if you're, Tory inclined, as far as Keir Starmer and the gang are concerned, you're some kind of crazed far-right extremist. They are crazed. They're the ones who are crazed, I'll tell you. Trevor, I've got to move on, but excellent call. Thank you very, very much. Trevor in London there making some very good points. We didn't get very many... we got apparently a lot of WhatsApp voice notes tonight, but... not many of them. Well, most of them were not usable. I mean, we love them when you phone in, when you leave these messages and they're all funny and they're over the top, but not broadcastable. We do enjoy them. But if you want to get on the show, you've got to cut out the swearing and the sex jokes and all that. You really do. But don't stop doing them. But that's not the way to get on the show. So we've got one, and it doesn't go on for long. This is Jeff on the migrants. Take it away, Jeff.
The only way to stop the boats, Kev, is to give them sod all like the rest of Europe. If there's nothing here for them, they will not cross the channel.
You see, it's short but sweet. Good point. Good point. Of course they keep coming across. As I always say, while they're in France, if they're really lucky, these migrants, and there are thousands of them gathering on the north coast as we speak to come across the channel, if they're lucky, the French give them a tent. That's it. That's it. Nothing else. No housing, no money, no food, nothing. A tent. Most of them don't get the tent. And then they climb on these dinghies. They go 21 miles across the channel. And what do we give them? 50 quid a week, a 4-star hotel, free doctors, free dentists, free food pretty much for life as far as I can work out. And here's the doozy, free lawyers to fight their case to stay. I mean, are we mad as a nation or what? 0344 499 1000. Let's go to break. When we come back, more of your calls, more of your messages. Stick around.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. You know these firebomb attacks on for 3 separate events in and around Keir Starmer's personal family home up in Kentish Town in North London. You know, the doorway was a firebomb attack, fire everywhere. Luckily, no serious damage because it was properly protected. Obviously, Starmer not there. He lives at number 10 now. I've mostly kept away from that story because I feel that, you know, you've been listening to it all day. You don't want to hear it again at night. But this is an interesting development. Someone has been charged with arson after the fire at Keir Starmer's house. He's a 21-year-old charged with 3 counts of arson, blazes at sites all around North London, a vehicle fire, a fire at the entrance of a property. That's Starmer's former, he still owns it, I think, but he doesn't live there, rents it out, and a fire at another residential address. Anyway, the person who's been arrested and charged with 3 counts of arson is 21-year-old Ukrainian national. It's from Ukraine, which bears thinking about, doesn't it? We can't say anything more because, of course, he's been charged and we need to let justice take its course. But 21-year-old Ukrainian national. Interesting. Let's go back to the phones. Let's talk to Paul in Hartlepool. Hi, Paul.
Hi, Kev.
You all right, mate?
Yeah, what I want to say is Starmer and Macron are cozying up to each other and what have you. Everywhere, you know, lovey-dovey, snuggling and all that, right?
What, snogging? I don't think they go that far. I wouldn't want to see that. But I absolutely take your point.
Anyway, what I was thinking on the lads was, why are we paying them a fortune, right, to stop them from coming over here? Why don't we pay them so we pick them up from here, send a Euro train back over to them, and we pay them for accepting them back over into the situation that they were in the first place.
What, we pay the French to take them back?
Yeah.
We've already given them £500 million, 500 million, to patrol their own beaches. How much more are we supposed to give them?
What I'm saying is, instead of giving them that money for...
But we've given it to them, Paul. They've already got it.
Yeah, well, the next situation that comes along, they should say, right, we're going to let them paddle in the water and get in the boat to come over here.
Yeah.
You were on the other side and you were looking over that water and you thought to yourself, when I get to the other side of that water, they're going to stick me on a train and send me straight over.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I'd do with them, though? I would say I'd detain and deport. I would just say, you've just broken our laws. You're not allowed to come break into the country on illegal boats, so you've broken our laws. What we're going to do, we're nice people, we'll pay for your flight home. So wherever they're from, we'll fly them back to their home countries.
Well, that's what I was thinking of the lads. They'd send them back to France.
Well, no, because the French won't take them.
And send them on from there to wherever they think they come from.
Well, no, I mean, why not just fly them directly to to their home countries?
Whichever. But
because the French won't take them. The French are not our partners in this. They can't wait to get rid of these migrants, as you saw from that footage. They're just waving the migrants. Good luck in Britain. Hope you have a nice time. Get the hell out of our country. We don't want you. Au revoir and don't come back. That's the French attitude. They've taken our money and now they're just letting the migrants leave. There's no point in trying to do a deal with the French because they don't want to do a deal with us.
Yeah, well, that's what we should push back on whatever we can to get that deal with them, to take them back over, to take them back over there onto their land.
Yeah, but the French won't take them, will they? That's the problem.
Yeah, well...
Yeah, but why take them back to France? Why don't we just detain them, say that you've broken our laws, you can't apply for asylum because you came here illegally. That's what Australia does. All of their illegal migrants who turn up, they say, well, you came on an illegal boat, you haven't got documents, you've broken our laws already, therefore you're not allowed to apply for asylum, we're taking you home. And that's what I think we should do.
Oh, yeah, we should definitely be doing that. But I just thought the country that they come from last was France.
Yeah, but you see, Paul, the French won't take them back.
Yeah, but that's why we shouldn't be paying them anything.
Well, we already did. That's the problem. We already gave them £500 million. In fact, we've given them quite a lot more than that over the years. But the last deal, the last lousy deal we did with the French was Rishi Sunak, who gave them £500 million to patrol their own beaches with a view to them stopping the boats, stopping the migrants. Now, we see day in, day out, they don't stop the migrants. They wave them goodbye. They don't stop the boats. So they took our money and they don't do anything with it.
I can't get it, you know, past my head that they'd actually pay them all the money at the same time, you know.
Yeah, well, that's because successive governments who have mismanaged this country have been a bunch of idiots, none more so than the current bunch. But the Tories, for 14 years, were an absolute shambles on this issue. This is their fault. The trouble is they've handed over the mantle, you know, to those open border fanatics, the EU fanatics, the Labour Party. So, of course, our already awful, terrible migrant crisis is now a whole lot worse. So welcome to Starmer's Britain. But, you know, I take your point, Paul, but they ain't going back to France. We need to just send them back to their home country, if you ask me. Good call, though. Good to talk, mate. Thanks very much. Give me a call again. Paul in Hartlepool. Let's go back to a break, and when we come back, a last few calls. And I do believe it's Andre Walker and Ash tonight, so they'll be in fairly soon to let you know what they've got lined up for you from 10 p.m. until 1 a.m. You have been warned. So stick around, folks.
One doctor, one of the 400 who said they supported it, described the bill as long overdue and a basic human right. Is it your human right to end your life? And this is it. I think individually, as Julia said, I think I should have that right. I genuinely think. But then what if you lose your marbles and you don't really have a sense of what is going on? You have some kind of degenerative illness. It's terminal. What do they mean by terminal? You've got 6 months to live, 6 years to live.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Ash will be in just a little while to tell you all about his show, which starts at 10 p.m, which is in about 8 minutes' time. Goes through to the small hours, 1 a.m. But in the meantime, a couple of messages about Lucy Connolly, the mum who is doing 31 months in jail. She was in the appeal court today, sobbing apparently, begging to be let out because she shouldn't have ever gone to jail in the first place. She tweeted about mass deportations now, bang on. It wasn't very nice, and she realised that she took it down. But here is one from someone called me. Says, good luck to Lucy Connolly. In her appeal, can't believe she's even in prison. All she said was what most of this country feels. She's not allowed visitors. I'm not sure about that. She has a child, that's true. And a poorly husband, that's true. Raymond, he came on that show a while back, lovely guy. Tory councillor, bemused about what's going on with his wife, why his family has been destroyed by this. So me goes on to say she should have come in on a boat, then she'd get treated better. Very good point, very good point. I'm not sure that some of the stuff that she stated is what all the country's feeling. It was over the top, it wasn't very nice, but hey, it's a tweet. You know, Americans are looking across the Atlantic going, hey man, in Britain they're locking people up for tweets. Think about it, we're locking people up for tweets. What is going on, folks? What is going on? This has got to stop. It's supposed to be a free country. Starmer, lost control. This is from Lee. Lucy Connolly was angered by 3 little girls getting aggressively stabbed to death. It's a reaction that most mothers would feel. That's the point. She's a mum. She lost her son, a little boy, in tragic circumstances a year ago. She saw her tweet, ill-advised, nasty and all that, but it was inspired by her fury and her sympathy for the poor mothers in Southport who lost their 3 daughters when that animal Axel Rudikapana slaughtered them in the dance hall. Lucy was in a heightened state of fury, and we all were. She went on to Twitter, and now she's in jail for 31 months. What a joke. What a joke. 12 people after those riots. 385 went to jail. Pretty damn sharpish. 2-tier justice, speeded up, especially for them. 12 of them were for tweets, were for Facebook posts. We must not send people to jail for what they post on social media. We mustn't be doing this. We mustn't be doing this. It's wrong. Lucy should be freed. Let's take one last call. Let's talk to one of my favourite callers, Herbie in Harrow. Hi, Herbie.
Yes, good evening there, Kevin. How are you this evening?
I'm all right, angry as usual, but...
Yeah, I can hear it and see that. Kevin, regarding the grooming gangs and the rapists or whatever you want to call them...
Rape gangs,
we'll call them a few other names, but there you are.
Yes, family show, mate, family show. Yeah.
I know, that's what I say.
Yeah.
How can the authorities say we can't do anything because we might be accused of being racist? Hold on a minute. They've committed a very, very, very serious crime against underage girls, having sex and done all sorts of nasty things to them, and they're too afraid of being called. I'm sorry, I'll call you racist if that's what it means. I don't care if you're from Mars. Yeah. You've done the criminal, you've done the deed, you deserve to get punished very, very severe on this occasion with this type of crime.
Well, this is the warped aspect of this horrible rape gang saga, that loads of people knew about it. These girls were telling their teachers, they were telling their social workers, they were telling coppers, they were telling local politicians. They were saying we're getting raped systematically by grooming gangs, by rape gangs, men of Muslim men of Pakistani origin. They're treating us like animals, they're torturing us, they're raping us. And all of these people that they reported wanted their horror to turn the other way, because for them it was far more important that they were not accused of racism or Islamophobia. That, to them, these people was far more important than the fact that vulnerable young white girls, many of them underage, were being systematically raped. It's a disgrace, Herbie.
These people then that withheld the information should be prosecuted as well for withholding information.
Damn straight, mate, damn straight. And that's what Shabana Mahmood's saying. Oh, their day of reckoning is coming. I don't see how that is happening. Not a single one, not a single person who turned their back has been prosecuted or brought to justice. And you're right, Herbie, that should be the next thing that happens. Mate, I've got to move on, but it's always good to talk to you. And as always, I'm on the same page as you. That's Herbie in Harrow. Ash is in the studio. Hello, mate.
All right, man. Yeah, we've got Tom Harris from the Freedom of Speech Union on, who was at the court case today.
Oh, really?
They're representing her. You know, they've paid for the lawyers and all that.
I heard she was sobbing in the dock. I'm very emotional.
Yeah, I mean, she would be traumatised because her child. Not only did she feel for them because there was obviously children murdered, and her child. They were both let down by the state. Hers by the NHS, and theirs by letting in people who shouldn't be let in.
I don't have to tell you how to do your job. You've got to ask Tom about this. I mean, too many people. After those riots, 385 went to jail. 12 of them for tweets and Facebook posts.
Some for just shaking fists. Most of them were just shaking.
Now these are I don't know the percent, but nearly all of them went to jail. Had been persuaded by their legal aid barristers and solicitors to plead guilty, because then they get a more lenient crime. They were conned. They were conned.
And they said they wouldn't go. I do think he prejudiced the case, Starmer, when he said we're going to convict you. He said without the court, he said we're going to arrest you, charge and convict you. I mean, that prejudices judges because they want to get on in their jobs.
Hey, mate, they were pre-programmed to send these people to jail by the Prime Minister.
They're all cut from the same
This was the government order.